please know that this meeting is being broadcast live and video recorded. We're going to start with open sessions. Anyone here for open session? And when I say that, if you have any question whether you're on the agenda already, you can ask us now or anytime. Yes, you are.
Okay.
But feel free if you've got something. You are. Feel free if you've got something else or want to jump forward because you can't wait. Don't hesitate. So, anyone else here for open session? No? Okay. All right, sounds good. We'll go to announcements, Katie.
All right, so we had a very nice Keep Hubbardston Beautiful Day on April 16th from 8 to noon. The Boy Scouts were there with their electronic fundraiser. They filled that truck. The Girl Scouts were there with the bottle and can drive. They filled that truck. And then there was the Keep Hubbardston Beautiful. A few of the committee members I met, Laura and Sarah, right? Yes.
Yep.
They were there, and the dumpster showed a little late, but that's okay, because they set everything aside and heaved it in the dumpster when it showed up. So the dumpster was pretty full. I don't know what the total was, because they didn't come pick it up till later, so do we know what the total was? No?
They haven't contacted
Okay,
me yet.
alright, but the dumpster was pretty full. So all in all, it was a good day to keep Hubbardston beautiful. I would like to just throw out 2 cents on the bottle and can drive. We always play this lovely little game of what's the grossest thing we're gonna find that day. And please, if you're gonna bring bottles and cans down to young children, please, for the love of God, we found underwear. I'm not making this up. Dead things.
Yuck.
Empty, moldy cat food. It's gross. Please, these are children, and I'm the one that gets stuck touching it. It's gross, and I don't want to. So please, for the love of God, clean it before you bring it down to us. Alright, on that note, we're moving on.
Boom.
So, April 30th, which is this coming up Saturday, the seniors have pie for breakfast. It's going from 9 to 11:30, and I believe they're looking for like an $8 fee to come, and we're going to eat pie for breakfast. My Girl Scout troop is serving, and let's all have some sugar and fat first thing in the morning. It'll be great. We'll all bond. It'll be awesome. So that's going on this Saturday. And then we have coming up, we have the Memorial Day Parade on Memorial Day, obviously, May 30th. Lineup is at 10. The parade starts at 11. Following directly the parade, there will be a ceremony up on the common, roughly about 12. And then after that, everyone's invited over to the seniors. Will be giving out ice cream, and the Lions will be giving out hot dogs, to my knowledge. And there'll be, I think, some trucks and stuff in the parking lot that everyone can check out. But there'll be the nice unveiling of the new memorials and the cleaned monuments up there, of the Veterans Memorial Monument that they just did, and all the rest of them. I guess we have an eagle head and all kinds of good stuff going on. So that will be on Memorial Day. And then moving on from there, we have the Hubbardston Fair coming up on June 11th. 9 to 2, which I'm still taking vendor booths for. We have the Dinghy Dash on August 27th at 10 a.m. Then the next one is the Library 5K. It's the 25th year. The first 100 people that sign up do get a t-shirt. That's on September 10th. The library has applications, I think, on their website.
It's right here, yeah.
Yes.
HubbardstonPublicLibrary.org. There's a
Okay.
link for the application.
They
right
do
there.
have it up and going.
They do.
All right, awesome. And what time does the 5K start?
9 a.m. sharp.
9 a.m. sharp. But it's a 25th year, so that's a big year
It's
for them.
huge. More
Yep.
than $75,000 they've raised over the years.
Awesome.
Nice.
Good. And then we have a new one coming up, Non-Such Nights, on October 8th with a rain date of the 10th. And that'll be from 4 to dusk. We're looking to do food trucks with a band and showing a movie out there. And then if you really want to be rambunctious and go for the gusto, we also have the light fight forms already up on the website. So feel free. Or you could take guests for next year on the frozen assets. So it's all there. Go ahead. Next sucks up. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anyone else for announcements? I can't imagine. Okay, we will move on to the minutes and consent agenda. On this are the minutes of February 28th and a one-day pour for the Hubbardston Fair by Moon Hill Brewing to serve beer and wine, which the action would be to vote to accept a one-day pour on June 11th with a rain date of June 12th. And we've received some information in our packet previously on that application. So I'm going to read the items one at a time. If you have a hold, please let me know at the table here. The first would be the minutes of February 28th. And the second would be the one-day pour for Hubbardston Fair by Moon Hill Brewing to serve beer and wine.
Hold.
Okay, we've got a hold. We'll move right to that item then. What's up?
Okay, so question here. So the applicant name is Rick Walton. I believe they're probably the owner of the Moon Hill Brewing Co. But I'm not actually sure where they're holding their activity, what type of event it is, or any details.
So I thought the same, but you had to go to, there's another document that's there.
Another document.
And on the other document shows the application with the location of the Hubbardston Fair on it.
Oh, well,
With
I
the
didn't see that
insurance.
one.
The
With
insurance is on
yes,
there and
with the
everything.
there's like an
Okay.
insurance
Don't worry,
document with
I always-
attachments, and I was
yeah.
looking too.
It's always a full packet.
I was looking
All
too.
right, so
Always-
Hubbardston Fair.
yes.
Yep, clearly
Fantastic.
says that, clearly says that.
I'm all set then. I'll just
Okay, alright.
go back through Google Drive.
Okay, sounds good, it is definitely there, sure.
Make a motion to accept by unanimous consent the agenda items as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Unanimous, sounds good. Alright, dude, so our new business, we've got, Roman numeral 5A, we've got James Pitney, discussion of Eagle Scout project proposal for a used American flag collection drop box for retirement according to custom
Thing.
and law. So why don't you come on up, and whoever you want to come with you?
I don't know if he wants me to, but
And even though I just said it, if you wouldn't mind introducing both yourselves and you know, where you live.
Pass that one down.
Is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, so my name is James Pitney.
and I'm James Pitney, and Jamie Pitney. We live at 52 Berry Road, and James is a life scout in Troop 22 Hubbardston. I am the scoutmaster, and he is also our latest Eagle candidate within Troop 22 Hubbardston.
Want to just explain to us real quick what a Life Scout is?
Life Scout is the last rank before Eagle Scout. It means that you've gone through 5 other ranks plus life, which has included all of the basics of learning what scouting means. So all of the basic training relative to tying knots and first aid and things like that. And then after you reach first class, you go through 3 ranks of building leadership. So you have first class, life, and no, I'm sorry, first class.
Second class.
After
Second
first class.
that was
First
great.
class, star.
Star life, star in life,
Good one.
star in life,
Okay.
and then ultimately Eagle. So the first set of ranks are about learning. The second set of ranks are about leading. So, and the Eagle Scout project is sort of the culmination of all that in leading a work initiative to benefit their community.
All right. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, so pretty much, as you said, I'm looking to make for the town a used American flag collection box. Every year at Field Day, the troop holds a retirement ceremony for American flags. It's a very nice moment towards the close of Field Day, and it's pretty special. And we do it very respectfully, and pretty much my proposed project would make it a lot easier for it really streamline the process to be able to collect used flags to be retired appropriately, because we don't like the idea of just a bunch of these flags just kind of sitting, collecting dust in someone's basement. We want them to be properly retired in a respectful way, and this collection box would really give a central location and make it easy for people to just drop them off, and the troop can come collect them on weekly, monthly basis, however many times it needs to be collected really, when it gets filled up, and then they will be properly stored and later retired at Field Day.
So did you sort of research similar sort of systems on and what's sort of customary for this sort of thing? Is that some sort of a question that is applicable to this, or is this new, or what do you think?
I've seen it in looking online, seen
Yeah,
it
that's
in
what I
like other towns and stuff. And pretty much how it would work is something similar to like a postal mailbox. I have pictures right here. You see, kind of like almost like that Lions box. I looked into getting a retired mailbox from Postal Service, but unfortunately it wasn't really an option available.
It's probably like a federal offense or something.
It's a whole process. But there are, you know, things similar to it that you can purchase online. So be something like that, spray paint it, you know, make sure people know what the box is, you know, just a random box, just collection box shows up in town. We want to make sure people know what it is. And yeah, be looking to put it somewhere in the center of town, central location, just so that it's convenient for people to drop stuff off, and yeah.
I think it's an excellent idea, cause I know you just, against the law, you just can't trash a flag,
Yeah.
throw it away, you can't, or whatever, it's, and, speaks very well for you, cause when I read this before the meeting, I said, it's a great idea, so,
Thank you.
congratulations on that.
So where would it go, I think? What do you think?
Well, I have one question that, because I'm the one that gets stuck diving into the Cub Scout box, because we have no Cub Scouts, if it keeps going that way, which I pray we can get, well, I don't pray, let's not use that word, that never happens. I hope, and I would, we're still working on trying to get a Cub Scout group up and going, but if we don't, my only concern is if the Boy Scouts go the same way as the Cub Scouts, because we don't have a feeder for our Boy Scout troop, who's gonna deal with this? That's my only concern with this. Other than that, I love the idea, I think it's a great idea, and I think it's super doable for you, for a project. I don't know what that answer is, and that's the only part that worries me, and we're not gonna know that answer.
I think
but-
the discussions that we've had, both amongst, between ourselves and with a few other people, was suggesting that it be placed somewhere here on this campus, if you will. If for no other reason, we think that probably, 80-20 rule, most people that do want to properly dispose of their flags are gonna come to the town first and ask how you can best do it. I know there's some storage done here when people bring them here. That's how we get some of our flags for proper retirement, in the August timeframe. So I think we're gonna, ideally avoid a lot of what you're talking about where there's fewer eyes on it.
Would this be under lock and key?
This would be under lock and key, and the assumption would be is that, at the very least, the troop, and either the office here and or the police, in the event that someone thought something illegal was dumped in. And I'm not just talking, like junk, but like,
Yeah, no, I,
you know,
yeah, no.
dropping weapons or drugs or
Medicine,
whatever. Yeah, or medicine, thinking
Yeah.
it's a medicine box or whatever, that, that there's the ability for proper handling of stuff like that. So we think because of that risk, that someplace that, has some additional eyes on it, cameras and things would make sense for it, as well as the general foot traffic that we think this ask gets for it.
Now, when I read this, it said the troop was gonna be like monitoring it.
As far as for removal, is for you coming to get the flags, store
Collecting the
them,
flags, and then you do your, whatever your ceremony. So I've always been curious what that ceremony is, cause I knew about it, reading about it, but I've never
That's
seen one
great, we
like
set the
that.
lawn on fire a whole bunch
Yeah.
of times on field day.
It
So I
essentially.
do the fire truck.
Do you want to explain how we do it?
Yeah, so the first flag we retire, first we get a fire going, whether it's in like metal fire pit or one year we used like a big drum.
We
I
used the
think.
drum. That was a bad idea.
Let's not dive into too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And we do it towards the far end near where the fire trucks are parked during field day, and so I believe we retire the town flag first that flies over there, and do that so that it actually fits. Like how you're supposed to do is you cut the stripes, you tire those individually, and then you do the same thing for the stars, and taps is played as well, and then it's all done in silent as well, and then after, people are welcome to just bring up flags that they have, and we also have like a box that we'll have that's full of flags that we collect when we replace the flags in the cemeteries across town, we have those flags to retire as well and put them in there burned, and yeah.
Is there a script or something that goes along with that as
Yeah,
far as things
not-
that is
I mean,
read or said?
I'm sure there's some variability you can put into it. The final step, if it's available to you, is you really should be burying the ashes.
Mm-hmm.
But with vinyl flags, sometimes you're winding up more with sort of ashy goo
Yeah.
at the end of all this. So it's, you know, you do the best that you can with it, but you know, rather than just you know, taking a flag and throwing it into your fireplace or in a leaf burn or something like that in your yard, it's done with a measure of reverence.
Well, so I mean, I think it sounds fabulous.
Yes.
But you know, to Katie's point here, so so along with the project, is a document generated? And the reason I ask that is whether or not there can be some guidance in that for posterity. You know, in the event that there's some condition that changes with the troop or something like that, that references the police department or references the town or something like that. So I'm just asking, does a document go with it? It might not be a bad idea.
There can be. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's something that the town requires as part of the project.
Requires the wrong word. It's
Yeah,
just, you know, sort of
or
talking about
suggests or you
Yeah.
know, whatever, that there's some like policy
Certainly
procedure.
be worked in. Yeah, wouldn't be a problem if that's a concern to work in.
it. Yeah, again, probably the wrong word, concern, but I think it just, you know, feels like it might be something that's a good idea.
Mhm.
What do you estimate with the amount of time to get it up and going, once given the go-ahead, meaning?
Well, I'm hoping to. My goal is to get the box made, painted, and stuff. The weekend of the May 21st and 22nd is when all the work will be done, and then really once it's put there, it can start right like the minute we're done with it. Really.
Yeah, the work ahead of time. So the box would come, I assume, mostly, if not completely assembled. It'll need to be painted ahead of time, you know, with some sort of design. The work done here will be the making of the footing or the pad. We think lag bolts, things like that, mount the box onto it, and then yeah, once it's on the box and you allow for a little curing time, then it's pretty much ready to go.
So, I've actually had a little experience with this recently. So there was a young man in Wellesley last year in the fall who actually did a very similar project. So I actually have a picture I can show you if you want to see what his box was. But one of the things he decided to do is he saw if he could work with the veteran service officer to see if they could keep an eye on the flag box. They also kept it inside. They put one inside town hall as well as one inside the council on aging because they figured there's a lot of older folks who are probably going to bring their flags, and it actually has been very very fruitful. They've collected quite a few of them in the past several months. They check on them regularly. We can give them, or anyone in the office can give them a call if it's full, but you don't have to worry about putting them outside. You don't have to worry about other things going inside them or locking them. It's actually a nice looking piece of furniture, and I think, you know, the seniors enjoy looking at it and so forth, and I think it is a nice project. So if you have any questions or you want to see that picture, or I can provide any information for you on that one, let me know, just to give you ideas on that. But that might help you get around having to secure it on the floor, that way it can move if we ever, you know, heaven forbid we ever move the building, right? You wouldn't have to, you know, dig up the concrete
Well,
box.
that's a good segue into my question. So is this box going to be on a slab and the slab can be moved, or is the box?
Yeah, the box.
That picture you sent in the email kinda looks like the box is on just a concrete slab, and
It
the
is.
concrete slab can be moved.
Yes.
The two pieces together can be moved. Is
Yes.
that your plan?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. So we could put it anywhere on this property.
Yeah, I mean, if there's the superintendent has a forklift or something that can get under it, you know, that
We do.
would be
Or
easily
22 Boy Scouts could come up and
moved.
move it pretty easily.
So, I mean, you know, the slab's not gonna be, you know, like a 2x5 or something frame. It's, you know, we're probably just gonna be, you know, it's just enough to get it off the ground so it's not taking rainwater, you know,
Right.
ideally try and pitch it so the rainwater runs off and,
So it doesn't get knocked down by wind or whatever.
Right.
Survive the elements.
I like the idea a lot.
I do too, I think it's commendable, really.
I like having it up here, cause, you know, we got cameras all around up here, especially in the back. My
Yeah.
car got hit and it got caught on camera, and I tracked the person down.
I
Thanks,
remember
Laura
that.
Foley.
No problem.
And, you know, we can move it any way we want, right? So one suggestion I would give you, if you move forward on this project, is to work with David or Ryan, who's coming back here in short time, and Chief Perrin, and get ideas where it would be an ideal spot on this property where, you know, a light might hit it and a camera would catch it,
Yeah.
for sure.
I can't speak for Ryan directly, but I would say he's probably 99.9.
Oh, yeah.
percent in favor of this, so I think you're gonna get a lot of help from him as well, and you know, whatever he needs, so. Okay, any additional questions?
So what do they need from us? Just
Yeah, so what do you need from
A
us?
motion to go ahead with it, or just congratulations from the Eagle Scout, et cetera?
So part of the Eagle Scout project process is getting sponsored, so that I can, you know, have financial backing, I guess, and yeah, just
you would also-
having the support of the town, so that I'm not just kind of doing this to deaf ears, I guess.
It's also taking on the role of beneficiary, if you will.
Yes.
So, the first step would be to approve the proposal and move forward with it. I think the one thing we haven't talked about is the projected costs, which we've estimated about $1,000. That can be done exclusively with dollars from the project beneficiary. If they want, it can be fundraised, it can be both. You know, so I know we talked with Dave a little bit, and he had some ideas when we first came to him about it, so I would defer that conversation to the board and to Dave. But we would James would just need instructions on how much of the $1,000 would be needed to be fundraised, so that he can get to work on setting up a fundraiser.
You know, what you might wanna check in on, and I could be wrong in this, but as I recall, the Vietnam Memorial Group, they took in much more money than they needed, and this might be something they would really back,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
With the
With-
extra funds that they
with the
had,
extra funds.
and it was already fundraised.
Yes, sir?
I think he should come and see us on Wednesday night.
Okay.
At
Wednesday
the
night.
Lions, cause I think that's something that we would fund.
There you go.
A lot of people are gonna be behind, it's a great idea, it really is.
Yep. And then you can, you have a bunch of backers.
Okay.
and-
It speaks well for you, really.
So then I guess maybe we'll talk with the Lions, we'll talk with with Bill Shea and the Veterans Committee, Veterans Memorial Committee, if funding is still needed based on the support. And I think my suggestion to James and to the board here would that the board would still remain the beneficiary just because of the location. That by just making sure that by agreeing to the proposal that if there's still some funding, that we would come back to you for instruction on either fundraising or if there was appropriation ability, if that's okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I think, you know, as far as, and I'm not trying to get legal about this by any means, but as far as, you know, business for tonight,
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, with a lot of this information being new to us, I think sort of generally us not dealing with much of that, what you just said there, because I don't think we can quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
approve
But
the
sort of
proposal.
dealing with just sort of being able to move forward
Yeah.
with the, you know, nods for everything else
Yeah.
you said, you know?
We can, and James can email you, this is part of a whole workbook of, things that he needs to do, so what comes after this is the project plan. So he's happy to email that to the board so that you can see exactly how it's gonna happen and when.
Yep.
And if you'd like us to come back, there's a little bit of a time crunch, cause he turns 18 on June 9th, and we're trying to fit this in as fast as possible.
Alright, so the best way to do that would be to go through the administrator and the BOS,
Yeah.
so Board of Selectmen,
Yeah.
Tony Walker, the executive assistant, those two email addresses, and then they feed stuff to us.
Right.
So it's
Yep.
just the cleanest way to do that, but I would do that, you know, ASAP.
So, and then the last thing is, in addition to beneficiary, is for the board to assign, whether it's a member of the board or a member of the staff, to be our day-to-day contact. So if that's the admin or executive secretary, whoever it may be, we just need to know that so that we have, James can collect the signatures on the signature page of all this. So part of the motion, I think, needs to be that any authorized member, elected or appointed members of the town that need to sign this are allowed to.
Alright, so for, because we don't meet all the time,
Yeah.
some of us are here every day.
Yeah, well.
But
hey, somebody's
I
gotta show
still
up.
think it makes more sense to do a town administrator, cause they're sort of,
Yeah.
whatever, so we'll, as part of the motion, that would be what we would include.
Okay, great. Yeah, because it's ready to be signed tonight, based on the board, and I assume we assume the town administrator, assuming, we just made that assumption.
You were right.
So how do
And
you
then-
wanna word the motion?
So,
I have no idea.
Let's get Robert's rules out.
you said, Jamie, you said $1,000 was the total you estimate for this project?
Yeah, estimated, yeah.
And how much you got so far? 0?
Yes.
It's,
Don't worry.
Start
Worst comes to
somewhere.
worst, 2 car washes,
Yeah.
we're good.
It, what was the box that we found is what, about 600?
I think the picture
I think it was
includes,
like 480.
Or maybe
or
less than that, yeah.
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 Figure some freight, maybe we can get a Boy Scout discount or something, get it shipped. And then the concrete, the 2x4s or whatever are gonna be nothing to frame the footing, the lag bolts, and then just some paint brushes for design.
Yep.
And then we just have to feed our volunteer crew. So it's pretty simple and cost-effective project.
Okay, well, anything else from anyone else? No? Alright, well,
Well, I'm trying to think of what we need to
I
include in
think
the
whatever
motion.
you do is gonna be fine,
I'll make a motion that the select board approve and encourage him to go forward with his proposal to earn his Eagle Scout
And
badge.
if I would just add naming the town administrator as the day-to-day contact.
Naming the TA of the town as the administrative contact.
I will second that.
Okay, it's discussion, and I'll just add, in discussion here, is there anything else you think we need in this motion here, or is that adequate for what we've got for tonight?
Unless you need specific wording
I
on
don't.
authorization for signing, that would be the only thing I
I
can
think we
think of.
just gave it
Town
for the
administrator.
so,
Yeah,
okay. Any further
then
discussion?
nothing else I can think of.
No, seeing none, we'll vote, all in favor?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, unanimous.
congratulations
Thank you.
on your future Eagle Scout badge.
So
Alright.
you and you, or whoever you designate from the board that
Yeah.
can sign that. It's towards the bottom.
There's another picture.
This is project beneficiary and then project beneficiary contact, I believe.
And James, that's the picture.
Thank you.
I think they made it from scratch.
Yeah, I see, I see project beneficiary,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
which you have select board. So where does the signature go, just wherever?
It should be towards the end of that section.
I just don't see a
Yes.
line.
That's nice.
Oh, does it not say it?
No.
Put an X someplace.
If you wanna just
After
sign it
the
on
email
the email
address?
line, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just so we have something.
See what he did.
Yeah.
So David, yours would be below mine, after the email address of the town administrator, which is you, on the email line.
Because this will get submitted to council, so we just wanna show them that the town has signed off on the project, as opposed to ourselves.
Thank you very much.
Excellent,
Alright,
thank
thanks for
you.
coming in, guys.
Very good, thank
Very
you.
good.
Good project.
Tomorrow night
Wednesday night at 7:30
at
at the lodge.
the lodge. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Congratulations. You guys don't have to stick around.
Alright, next item is, the, annual town meeting warrant, review and vote to recommend or not recommend warrant article status update, legal, planning, FinCom, CPA, cable, school moderator. So, the reason this is on here, A, it's ATM season, and B is, we had some questions and there was discussion during our last meeting here, so David, wanna let us know what's up?
Okay, so, things are moving along. Finance Committee completed all of their recommendations on the, budget and the warrant articles. subject to any kind of major changes to the numbers, and there may be some changes in the capital plan. Pardon me, I've had this going on all day long.
I'm gonna scare you so hard, and just scare those out of you.
No fun.
No, it's not. Hiccups are horrible.
Yeah, so, pardon me.
I'm gonna make you talk all night now.
Yes.
CPA has finished their work, Cable has finished their work, moderator has reviewed the, articles, motions for his technical issues, and he's, given us the green light. Planning board is working with me to clarify some of the changes on the, accessory dwelling unit, bylaw. Legal is reviewing, and with the deadline of May 9th. So, and the select board, I think, has only four articles still open.
Okay, so those were,
Article 8,
Last meeting, oh, yeah.
yeah,
10 and 12.
8, yeah,
They're all just, they're evens.
that was 3, there were 4, weren't they? 8, 10,
10, 12, 14? Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah.
Because we held on 14 because there was a question on, the basketball court, which, I did ask Sanda, I don't know if anyone else did, but she said it was to, spray the, seal the paving. That's what the 8,000 is for.
that makes more sense.
And, then the other question was whether or not that the roof was gonna get swapped with dump truck, cause that,
so Ryan was talking about taking out the 100,000 from the roof, asking Senator Goby to, fund that through the state budget. And use that 100,000 to pay for the replacement vehicle that got damaged for total during the winter. So that may be a change in that particular article.
And what's the total cost for the replacement vehicle?
It'd be about $150,000.
And the other 50,000 is coming from where?
We have $35,000 from the insurance company, so we'd only have to scrape together another 15.
Why didn't we just put why didn't we just put the full amount? Was there a reason why we didn't put 115 instead of 100?
That's probably what he's going to do.
Okay. So just real quick, I can do most of the talking here, David. So Article 8 is you know, the budget, and Article 10 is the Quabbin portion of the budget. Article 12 is Hubbardson Cable Advisory Committee, which
I asked for a hold on that pending clarification about their expenses. They get reported back to me. So this year they asked for 20,000, the next year they're asking for 25,000. That money comes out of the cable gift account.
Yep.
So there's no impact upon real estate taxes for that expenditure. So we're ready to roll with that one.
okay, and then Article 14, like we just said, which is the capital spending article. Okay, you know, I'll just ask the table sort of generally, does anyone have anything they wanna talk about, relative to these 4 articles before we start moving forward with them?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Budget, Article 8. So I did send David a couple questions this morning. I was going through the budget book comparing to the new budget, or the revised budget, and I just had some things that popped up. So, David, I know you had mentioned this, but I was wondering if you can explain this a little bit more. So, one of the pieces in the revenue stream, we were talking about the expected income for revenues for the building, gas, wiring, and plumbing lines. But then we also have revolving funds for those. Can you just explain a little bit of how you're envisioning, because I know you wrote back to me and said that you expected that we'd collect a 10% administrative fee that would go to the general fund, but it seems like that 10% would be a lot less than these numbers.
Yeah, so the building inspection program is one of these open items that we haven't resolved. And I'll preview my update on the building inspector by saying that the town of New Braintree the select board is meeting tonight to review an opportunity to go in with the building inspector. If we can do that, then we should reduce the budget for the land use development by the salary amount and use the revolving funds in order to pay for the building inspection services, plumbing, gas, wiring, and electrical, building rather. If we can't get a regional agreement, then we should be hiring somebody, so that money in the land use account is there for hiring somebody, but we're not gonna do both. So either we can reduce the budget or we can modify the revolving account. That's a decision that we're gonna be making in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, but if we were to reduce the budget, then you would also reduce the revenues coming in,
Yes,
cause they'd have to mirror each other.
it would offset us.
So then, is it my understanding then, if we were to regionalize with New Braintree, we do it through a revolver?
Right,
So it wouldn't be like what we were doing previously with Gardner, where they sent us an assessment and we paid it out of our operating budget. Instead, whatever the building commissioner worked, we would pay their commission through the revolving fund, and then we would take an administrative hit off of that 10% increase, and then that would hit the general fund?
yeah, that would cover for the ancillary costs of support for the building inspection program.
Okay. So I guess at the end of the day, would we be in a better position or a worse position if we were to do a revolver for the building department than where we are now? Cause it seems like we'd be losing a lot of the revenues from the inspectional services, because it would go right back to the person to pay them for all of their work as opposed to staying with the town at all.
One of the things that's hurting us with our intermunicipal agreement with the city of Gardner is that there's no incentive for the building inspectors to actually do the job. I mean, other than that's their work assignment and that's their profession.
Yeah.
If we can say that you'll be paid by inspections and you'll be paid by the fine for enforcement, that provides a little bit of more
Incentive.
incentive. to-
How, I know we're just previewing it, we're probably gonna just get through most of it, but it ties into, making decisions and for how long are we making them. The draft, or whatever you wanna call it, intermunicipal agreement between us and, New Braintree potentially, are they discussing, do you know the term of that?
It would be 3 years.
It would, so any decision isn't something like we have to, whatever we're gonna decide, we better, cause fluctuations in the market and how much building happens matters, how we frame this within our budget. Okay, I wanted to know
Are
that.
there any other towns or just New Braintree? I
Yeah,
thought there
so
was.
for New Braintree, this is all public information. New Braintree, Hardwick, Oakham, are connected to an intermunicipal agreement with Barry for inspection services. That's a relationship that could be improved to the point that New Braintree is now actively looking for another partner.
Yeah, they
So
spoke
it-
to us at the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
school thing.
just
that
be
we
It
went
was
to.
Oakham who spoke
Huh?
to you, Oakham spoke to
It would
you.
just
No,
be
it was New Braintree.
Oh.
Well, that's
'Cause
the
I
only
spoke to him
partner
again, the one who
who's
spoke to
expressed
you,
any
Chris,
interest.
and I
Okay.
spoke to him, and it was New Braintree, not Oakham.
So if we were to go with New Braintree, do they currently have a building commissioner, or they're looking to partner with us to go find a building commissioner and they wanna be host?
Yes, the latter.
Okay, so no offense to New Braintree, but they're a third the size of us.
Yeah,
So I don't, how much, I guess the question comes up is what percentage of this are we gonna be paying? Is it most of it, which we've decided we couldn't afford to do in the first place by hiring just our own? Or is it a 50-50 split or some other sort of combination? So I'm not asking for answers to all these, I'm just, these are the questions that come up as we ponder it.
Well, they're meeting tonight to determine whether they wanna do it anyway, right?
Yep.
So we'll know more after tonight. Whether we're pursuing it, et cetera, or finding out more detail, or if they're not interested, although this selectman who spoke to us was extremely
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, but if they only wanna pay 10% of the guy's
Yeah.
salary, for example, or the gal's salary, then, that doesn't work. So-
Oh, no, I understand,
Right.
but
Well, the revolving fund would be a fee for service.
Yep, no, I know in that,
Yeah,
right.
Are there other communities that do it that way, David?
yes.
The entire, including the building commissioner? Cause I've never seen the building commissioner looped into that. It's always been inspectional, beam plumbing, wiring.
I mean, I can't think of an example where the building commissioner is, part of the revolving fund, but there's no reason why you can't do that. I mean, mechanically it would work.
I guess
but
I
Heather,
just,
what you've
it-
seen, I'm just asking, cause
Yeah.
your background, are from communities much larger than we are, so maybe it has to do with the size of the community.
same size.
Yeah.
6,000-ish.
Ashburnham?
Yeah, Ashburnham, Southampton.
Well, you mentioned Wellesley earlier, oh, that was in the other thing.
That's
Okay,
my
yeah.
other, that's my current day gig.
Yeah, okay, alright, gotcha. Okay.
Slightly different, but no, I worry, right? Because the building commissioner is the one who is going to bring the most funds into the town. And of all these positions, right, plumbing and electrical, gas and so forth. And, you know, you do pay them a decent salary, but they also are responsible for, you know, all of the inspections. They're also out there doing all of the fines and so forth. And sometimes I just worry that, you know, they could potentially take home more than that 60,000 going this way, and we're getting a lot less for revenue, so we might have a decent service, but we're missing out on the revenue side, like, I'm just a little apprehensive about not understanding this enough. What do we have for, I know
You could-
timelines are short.
You could, let me jump in, you could be
Sure.
overthinking it a little bit though, too.
It could be.
Cause we
It's
don't
possible.
do that much here, right? So we're not gonna have this boom, probably,
This is one of the reasons I
that's
didn't
gonna,
come to it.
that's gonna happen. Like, this actually happened to us with the electrical. When solar came,
Yep.
we were like, what are we doing? This guy's, you know, I remember he came in front of us, the electrical inspector, and said, hey, look, I've been working here for however many years, I've made nothing, you know, give me this. You know, that was sort of his response to our saying, hey, maybe we should pull this under the town umbrella. I don't feel like that scenario can happen with our bylaws and all that, too much, you know, so, so maybe it's, I understand your concern, but I don't know that it's a real one.
Okay.
I'm just,
I understand it, and, you know, I don't know if it's a real one or not, but I mean, that's gonna be part of the vetting process, right? We're gonna look historically and see how much work our building inspector does and project out from that and see if it makes sense to pay him a salary or pay him by the job. I mean, that's all part of this process. You know, once we get into a partnership and New Braintree's actually interested in doing that with it, right? I
right,
mean,
and we find out what the break between who
Right.
pays what is.
Right.
Most of the work would probably be the initial dig out from what's still lingering right now.
Right, so a quick, like a
Yeah, the
Yeah.
initial,
burst.
clean everything
You're
up.
right.
So I've been in one town where when they did electrical, plumbing and gas, they actually did a percentage of it went directly to the inspector and then the rest went to the town. I was in another town where we actually came up with a flat rate per inspection. So every time the inspector went out, he or she got X dollars and the rest came to the town, regardless of how big or little the project was. So that it balanced out, but the town still got a bulk. I would just like to see more as this develops,
Yeah.
what the proposal is.
Okay.
All in the hands of New Braintree at this moment.
Alright, so how does that affect what we're doing right now? And that's looking at the warrant, Right.
Yeah,
What-
I think that you've got the land use department is the only wild card in this mix at this point.
Yep. But, yeah, I agree.
You go with the revolving account, you can cut the budget, but you'll be losing the revenue as well. In the general fund, you won't lose it, it'll be diverted to the revolving fund.
Are we, so are we closing this tonight?
No, you have until May 9th.
Alright, well, I don't think we should deal with it yet, so, I think we just made that, you know, clear, that we're not quite ready to deal with that one yet. We will next time,
Alright.
okay? So that would,
May I ask a couple more?
of course, for the same article, I was gonna move on to another
Same
one.
article, same
Yep,
article.
okay.
So David, I know on the police one, so I was looking through the budgets and the police had $150 for legal expenses. Did you ever figure out what that was for? since we
No,
have a legal budget?
I think based upon my limited knowledge of your legal entanglements with police officers in the past, that this is strictly union related information.
For $150?
That's my understanding.
It's like picking up the phone.
I think you and I agreed that this money should be in the general legal budget.
Is there any way before we close on that article in 2 weeks that we can find out from the chief if there's something we're missing?
Yep.
Okay. And then let's see, you were gonna check in with Ryan on snow and ice, cause we funded it. So snow and ice, you can run a deficit, so often towns just run $1 more than the year before or so, but the, Travis had asked for $5,836 more in wages and we dropped it.
He dropped it. So snow and ice budget, you can deficit spend so long as you fund it at the same level year after year. And so the DPW asked for a $5,000 increase. Ryan said, no, we can just keep it at where it is and keep it level funded. And we still have that ability to deficit spend if we have to.
Okay. And then the last one was just on the library, so, so there's not currently an interim director, there was when the first budget draft was set up?
Right, so now we have a director.
Okay, so now the salaries reflect that, that's why
Yeah.
it's not as high of an increase as the others.
That's right.
Okay, that's all I have for that one, thank you.
Okay. Alright, that was Article 8, so Article 10, right, that was the next one. Article 10, which was the Quabbin, yeah, so what did FinCom come to? As far as, the percent increase, is it the one that we had originally and the one that we're gonna pay? Is that that one?
FinCom agreed with the number of $5,168,765.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that much to me.
Which is the original one you put in the budget.
That's right.
Okay, so,
They didn't go up.
okay, sounds good. I didn't figure, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
before we understood this, so, I don't know if we wanna discuss that, does anyone have any opinion on that?
I like the number, cause I'm not satisfied with, I think, some of the answers from the school department. My only concern is always what happens if everyone else votes a different one and then we're stuck. When we come back to round 2 and then we're either cutting or finding freeing up cash from the cushions.
I don't think we're at that worry stage yet.
Okay.
But
Do we think there's,
We're not the only ones upset with the percentage.
oh, that's good.
That they're
I mean, we're all.
requesting,
we're all-
we're not we're not
And what's
alone.
just to refresh my memory, so what is the number of towns that have to vote one way or the other to make a change here?
4.
3.
No, it's not a majority, it's 4 of the towns have to vote, in the same way at their town meetings to be
Okay.
able to move it. It's more than, I'm positive, it's 4.
Okay,
And, the reason I really remember this is because last time, that we went through this before COVID and when we went through this whole rigmarole every year, that's how Laura and I met 10 years ago, or not met, but 10 years ago when we were going for an override in 2012, literally 10 years ago, probably to the day. But most recently, a couple of years ago, what happened was ours, Barry's, New Braintree's, and not Ocam,
Which,
Hardwick, all of ours were high, but Ocam's was negative 0.8% for whatever reason, to do with the multipliers we hear of. Their assessment hadn't come at the same time. There was just some reason, so they automatically were like, I had spoken to the guy, he was like, hey, I'm sorry, but we're gonna, it's easier for us if we vote for it. So we were really interested to see whether or not there was gonna be one more that was going to do that, because it was gonna be a problem if everyone wasn't going the same way, and it didn't turn out that way. It turned out fine, and we eventually got there on town meeting floor, and it was the big thing, like, it's probably gonna happen here. So, anyway, that's a long answer to that.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so that's Article 10. Okay, so we just talked about that. We'll just go through these and then we'll deal with them from there. So Article 12 is what David described to us from the,
Cable advisory.
obviously, cable advisory, any questions or anything on that while we're going through it, no? And then the last one is Article 14, so we talked about that a little bit, anyone have any further questions about that, beyond what we had, first talked about there, about, the basketball court as well as the, what was gonna be done with the garage roof versus the, totaled truck?
No, I guess my only question is I didn't realize that our capital allows to go as low as $500. Like, for the cemetery blower, I just wasn't sure why we couldn't have perhaps snuck that into a budget somewhere. That was it, just my commentary.
Okay, I'm sure, I'm just gonna answer it just cause you asked it, but my thought is that when the requests went out to all departments for capital articles for things that they wanted, it was one of those requests, and so it just sort of made it onto this.
That's fair.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess, I clearly we're not ready to deal with Article, 8. But, 10, 12, and 14, I'm thrilled that it's even numbers, cause it's easy to remember them all right now. It feels like we're okay to move ahead with it, we can either do them individually or all at once, so whoever wants
Just to
to.
approve them.
Or review and or approve or not, right? So, yeah, that's what we need to do, is basically we're approving or recommending them, which we didn't do last time.
You want me to group them all together, or? Okay.
You can make any motion you want, we'll go from
I'll
there.
make a motion that we approve, the warrant for, Article 10, 12, and 14.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? No, seeing none, we'll vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, it's unanimous. Alright, we're almost there, we got one more then. David?
Getting down there.
Okay. Alright, that's it for that. Next item, new business C, 5C, is the Country Hen Scholarship. Need 2 volunteers from the select board and 2 volunteers from the Country Hen, so
And we've always done that.
it's actually not that. What we've done, it's been 5 members. It's been 2 members of the select board, it's been Jeff and I for a while, and 2 members of the school committee and 1 member from the Country Hen. So I, see no reason why that wouldn't continue. It's gone very well. Since I won't be continuing on the board, it won't be me for one of them, I think, so 2 members of the board will need to be that.
I'd like to continue.
Anyone else wanna be on that committee?
What's the time commitment?
So the time commitment is
You read the applications and so forth, and then we,
yeah, so there are no extra meetings, so somebody, becomes the leader of that committee, and works with, all the applications, typically go into, the administrative assistant, executive assistant, and, then he or she distributes them out to the 5 committee members, and,
and then you rank your choices.
right,
And
and then,
you look at all the 5, and then the consensus, and you get to the ones who are gonna get the scholarship.
so typically what I've done, cause I've led that group, is I've sent an email out after we receive them all and say, hey, what we've done is either give 1 or 2, we've done 2 the last couple of years, and sent it out there and said, send, me and Tony, whoever it was, back your top 2 choices, and then we sort of do the math later on, and whoever, gets the most votes, gets invited to the meeting and gets awarded. So there are no separate meetings for it, it's all just done via email, it's pretty low key.
I would be happy to be on that if there was no one else who wanted to.
I already sit on a scholarship committee, so
Well, I was also
like,
thinking, don't you know like every kid in town?
yeah, I usually do, but I already sit on one, so it's like, I try not to double dip here,
Oh, I mean, I'd be happy to stay on it, but Chris, are you interested?
Not if you wanna stay on it.
Okay.
Alright, why don't
Fine.
somebody make a motion then to memorialize that?
Question,
Sure.
how many scholarships do they award?
2.
Typically 2,
Typically 2, and
could be
it's
1
gonna
or
be,
2, it's decided every year.
who decides that, the Country Hen?
No, me.
You decide how many scholarships?
No, I mean, we
We did.
we do sort of as a group or suggestion to sort of say, at the beginning, an email goes out if anyone has any changes, anyone has any sort of strong, opinion away from doing 2, which we usually do, let the group know, but no one ever has, and so we've always done 2.
So I guess my question is, has anybody approached the Country Hen to do more than 2?
So it's either 2 or 1 for the same total. So we don't actually increase the amount. It's either, if we do 2, it's cut in half, or if it's 1, it's the whole amount.
What's the amount?
It's
usually?
$1,000. So it's 1,000 or 2 500s.
The
So-
original owner of the Country Hens set this up, Chris. He's, George, I can't think of his last name. But he set it up, put money in place for this, so it's not like the Country Hen every year is giving us more money. It's been making money on its own, and from it, $1,000 is what is awarded us from scholarship.
Right, so all we can use is the interest, so the principal stays, all we can use is the interest, and it's never gonna be really much more than what it's at from the 30,000 that they put in there. It was actually a matching, it was $15,000 from George Bass himself,
Yeah.
and then the Country Hen entity matched it for it to make 30,000, and then the interest is what comes into the scholarship amount, and that 1,000 is probably a little bit more than that, but that 1,000 is what it's gonna be until that, unless somebody adds more to the principal portion of it. Okay, so, I don't know, somebody wanna make a motion to get these two on it?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Jeff and Heather to the Country Hen Scholarship Committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, and David, if you could,
What's Country Hen though?
Yeah,
let's
you
get-
gotta fix this. That was myself and Tony trying to dig up, cause I couldn't remember and she
Okay.
couldn't find the information, so I'm like, I think it was 2 people from the Country Hen, I'm not totally sure, I remember it was 2 select board members.
Yeah. So what I'll do is, cause I have all the original emails that I sent everybody every year with the same info that I just changed names and all that. I'll send, Heather, Jeff, Tony, and David, the most recent one from last year that shows the committee members and the introduction, and, you know, they typically put a date on there that says, please get them back by such and such date, so just so somebody can take over from there and sort of forward it out from there. And then it's easy enough. And then we'll have to let the finance committee know they need to pick two people to do that.
You mean the, not finance.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes,
Try again.
school committee.
There you go.
Okay, okay, alright, sounds good, that was good. Next, ARPA discussion, old business, Roman numeral 6A, ARPA discussion, $133,000 in recommendations. Heather, why don't you take us through it?
Sure. So I did send out an email last night to everyone on the board just to summarize where we were. Last time we met, I think we had discussed the Hubbardston Beautiful. What's the name?
Hubbardston.
Keep
Hubbard. See, I
Why
keep
can't
doing
you-
make Hubbardston green or
Why
what
can't
have you.
Yeah.
Because in my head, so I used to run Haverhill Goes Green for years.
Okay.
So that's like stuck and ingrained. So everything's gonna jump off of that. But anyway, so we had a couple of the projects there. We had talked about that one. That one unfortunately did not pass, but I see it's on the agenda again for the budget. So we'll come back to that. For the ARPA, since we last met, the other 2 projects that we were supposed to put forward but hadn't, just didn't make it onto the last agenda. The first one was Go Green Manufacturing. This project had scored a 33 on our matrix when combined with all 5 members' scores. The committee had 2 separate motions and both passed. The first was to grant Go Green Manufacturing a grant with no strings tied for the lost revenue for the amount of $50,781.26, which is the amount of the ending negative balance for their profit and loss statement for the year ending in December 2021. And the second was for a grant to purchase trailers as described in their application, the amount not to exceed $39,218.74. Does anyone have any questions on that one? I did attach the application.
So just going through the profit loss statement.
Yes.
And feel free to sort of chime in. It basically appeared as though sales just went down. Is that-
My costs just skyrocketed.
So
I
costs
mean,
skyrocketed.
Everything, my core price, the pallet core from my biggest vendor went up like ridiculous
Yep.
amount. Staples and nails went up 60% in 6 months. It was difficult to source pallets because what was happening was, you know, there were so few of them that people were then holding on to them. So what I do is I buy used broken pallets, fix them, and resell them. But what was happening was vendors in distribution centers or whatever were keeping them. They were, you know, offloading their product and taking the pallets back. So the ones that I was able to purchase, just the price went up so much. And fuel, I mean, everything just was crazy,
Okay, thanks.
so.
That's one question I had.
Okay, anyone else on that one? Okay. The second one we had was the Lions Club. The committee, KP abstained, voted to support the Lions Club's request for recovery of lost revenue for the amount of $23,000. This project ranked a total of 21.
So, the last time we talked about this, we had some additional questions. The board had some questions that we wanted to get some answers from.
Okay.
I saw the application that was in there. Ed Blanchard was the designated representative or something like that. Was there further communication between the ARPA committee and Lions since last time we met?
I don't think so. I don't know if did we have those questions that we had? Did we talk about that at a meeting, or is that offline? I don't remember talking about it at a meeting, but I might have.
I think it was offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yes.
Yes. No
One-on-one,
quorum.
not in a
No
group.
quorum discussed.
Yeah.
No, just like,
Nah.
what's that, what's this, I'm confused.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't blank out on that.
No, I'm just
Okay.
making sure there wasn't.
No, we have never discussed any of these at any of the meetings.
Okay.
The last one we discussed was Laura's.
The main point of my question is, has there been any correspondence beyond, the last time this came up with the ARPA committee and the Lions
No,
Club?
there has not.
Okay, that was the main point of the question.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have any further questions on that either.
Do we have any questions for the Lions Club, since we might have some representatives
You
present?
might have some answers.
Yeah, okay, so this was for 2020, that, what was listed on the, anyway, application wise. Moving forward, do you expect, your operations to have been permanently affected by anything, or do you expect to sort of get right back into where you used to be?
We're hoping to get back in
Yeah.
where we were. That's what we're hoping to do.
So, and kind of the point of the cryptic question I just had there was, these are one-time funds to us, as far as we know, or 2 times, I guess, the amount of money that we're gonna be getting from ARPA comes in 2 payments, from, the Magic ARPA Ferry. And, so, anyway, there had been, I had seen, and it wasn't necessarily in town here, but I had seen or just read some stuff about people projecting forward, additional losses and trying to recoup or future losses in the original request.
That wasn't all of our losses.
Okay.
That was straight up just
That was
events that we
basically,
did not hold.
that was
because
field
of
day.
law.
Yeah.
And HHH.
Yep.
That's all that was. That wasn't meat raffles or the toll booths or anything like that.
And again, what I was reading had people trying to project future losses and recoup them back in, which isn't cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just confirming that wasn't something that was in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't think so, just saying it out loud, so.
I mean, and all that will go right back into the community anyways.
Yep, no. So anyway, thanks for answering that, but, that's the only question I had.
Okay.
So,
Anyone?
I have a question.
Good, Katie.
So at the end, I watch all the meetings, cause I have no life. And at the end of the meeting that you guys were at, Heather asked a question, which was there anyone that wasn't helped due to the fact of the lack of funds, from 2020? And you guys answered no. So my question is then why do you need the funds? Because, no offense, you guys do good work. I'm not gonna lie, you do. You guys put in stuff, but this is, again, a once in a lifetime trying to fix some serious wrongs in our town. And not that you guys wouldn't do good things with it, but there's things that you can't do with it that the town is kinda stuck having to do. And I just don't see why you would need money that you didn't actually need to spend.
I'd like to answer
We had
that.
money in the account, but now it's getting depleted pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna cut back this year because we lost money. So it hasn't been built back up.
Well, if you,
We still kept going.
yeah, but you're not depleted yet,
No, not depleted yet,
Okay.
but
and you got the Hubbardston Fair that you've been invited to, and Field Day's gonna be good this year, and so won't Haunted Hayride just like it was last year.
Yeah, as long as COVID don't come back again.
It's not.
You never know.
True, but we can, wish in one hand, crap in the other, and see which one fills up first. What are you gonna do about that? You can't project that kind of stuff. The whole fact is there was nobody that was unaffected by that.
I'd like to
Yeah.
go to that.
Yeah.
a little
Okay,
bit.
go ahead.
A lot of people don't actively come out to look for something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the Lions Club will go out and look for people who need something. Not, a lot of people don't like to ask, but we're there to help them if they need it. We didn't actively pursue a lot of things because we just didn't have the money to give. Okay, there was still a lot of need out there still is. And with that being said, all these funds are going directly back into the community, all of it. That's what we do. We help out just about anybody who comes to ask, but we do actively try to find people. People still have pride. They don't like to ask. We like to be there. If we see it, we go on the down low and go see those people and help them. That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
So, did we not help people? We didn't exactly. We helped everybody that we could, but we only could help with what we had at that point. I think that there's still a lot more that we could do, and we definitely lost all those funds in fundraising and everything else. We hope things go back to normal, but that was a loss, just like any other business or anything else. We weren't able to realize any revenues to go help the community because we couldn't do the things that we usually did.
Well, not to be a total jackass, but we had Field Day, and you guys were there. I had the Hubbardston Fair and invited you. I had the Dinghy Dash, I invited you, and I gave you a full plan for the Haunted Hayride, and it was on up until less than a month before the hayride, before, you guys decided you didn't have the manpower to do it. But, and you guys do good things, and I don't wanna sit here and be a jerk about it, but it's like, this is a once in a lifetime, and I hate to this is not where I want this to go, cause I like working with you guys, and I think you guys do awesome stuff in town, especially the stuff that you guys do. The Haunted Hayride is always a huge success when you guys do it, and the same with Field Day.
I think people made a lot of decisions, not knowing how things were gonna go during this. I don't think anyone's decision on participating in something or not should be held against them throughout these last two, really insane, unprecedented years. So, just because something worked out doesn't necessarily mean everyone felt like it was gonna, or everyone was in on it, or everyone had the same opinion that they would have had previous years before everything sort of changed. The world was very different for a couple of years. So I think penalizing for that is
Well, no, and that's
isn't-
what I'm
isn't a
not
good idea.
penalizing. I'm
No.
just, that came off like an ass. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to penalize you with it. I'm just saying that we only, as a town, got 1.4 mil. We haven't even touched these businesses. Julie hasn't even got hers in yet, and there's still Hair for You that hasn't gotten theirs. We don't know what these dollar amounts. And no offense, has anybody watched a finance committee meeting anytime recently? They are very much for the fire truck and the ambulance that are 16 and 20 years old. They both are so far beyond replacement. The ambulance, most likely, the fire department was saying probably won't pass a safety inspection soon, so then we'll be totally screwed with that. And I'm not saying that this isn't worthy, I'm just saying we have so many huge, massive problems that this is a little amount compared to the fire truck and which we don't even have enough money for, but those are long-term problems that we really need to solve, and you guys aren't in a financial mess, is what I'm saying. The Lions are still doing okay, even though you did have losses.
So the town's in a financial mess. This fire truck and the ambulance, it was been ongoing for years. That should somehow be held against us.
No, not
That's
held
how it
against you.
sounds to me.
I think it should be prioritized higher, and I'm not saying that this is a no, I think this should be put on hold to see what happens, because there's also more rounds of hopefully money that are coming through. And I'm not saying no to this, I think it should be put on hold and sit there.
I guess what I'd say too is, then it gets to a point of, I get, that's like an analytical way to look at it, I guess I would say. But then there's the separate part of it with this, you know, the human side of what is actually coming from that, and the, you know, the benefactors of the volunteers of the Lions, you know, and what that means to a community as a whole, regardless of sort of the analytical view of, you know, dollars and cents and all that. So, you know, that's just a consideration to in the same conversation that you're having there, I'm just sort of having that one in parallel in my head to just, you know, because we aren't just numbers here, and even though we need to be, and we're as fiscally tight as anybody, because we have to be, and that's our job to be that way, we still, you know, it's still such a important part of our community. We don't have much of that, you know, if, and I agree, they're not completely depleted. I saw the balance sheet that Ed submitted with there, but, you know, to ask somebody to sort of, you know, go right down to your final savings isn't a good idea either, I don't think. So, I don't know, that's just my...
I'd like to jump in though also to something that Katie alluded to. I made no bones about it at the beginning. We got this money that I'm very much arguing for the small businesses in town. And I attended your meeting and so forth, and I realized you were waiting on information to come from Julie and so forth. And to Katie's point, and what I'm concerned about is that although tonight it didn't happen, but the last couple of meetings, every time that we're talking about the ARPA money, some new applications have come in, et cetera. It appears they're for a larger ticket item, et cetera, and this and that. And you're the way you folks are rating things, the money's going there. And I'm just worried that these small businesses getting pushed down, and they're gonna get whatever left over. I would appreciate that they get some priority, and some of these larger things, again, as Katie pointed out and I pointed out at the last meeting, this is a one-shot deal for these small businesses. It's the only time they're gonna get any help, where some of these other things that the monies are going to, et cetera, aren't in that situation. And so I just wanna say again strongly that I really wanna see these people get some help.
Right, but I hear you, but, you know, last time you said that was about, you know, Hubbardson Beautiful, but that application had come in the early time, so I don't...
No, I was talking about the diner, et cetera, and so forth.
No, I know that, I'm just saying, I need to ask the question again, because I asked it last time, and you were actually incorrect on when everything came in. They had actually all come in at the same time. You presupposed they hadn't, but they had. So I understand that, you know, you have made no secret of, you know, what side of, you know, that you're on, but just to make sure you're informed. So as far as the applications in front of us tonight, could you just sort of let us know, you know, in relation to, you know, when the applications for others had sort of come in, you know, when had these come in generally?
Everything came in before the deadline.
Right, so these were all at the same time. So that's, I'm just making sure, because that happened last week when you said the same thing, that these came in the same time too.
I think what he's saying is they haven't made it to us. They
Well,
haven't
that's
even made it through ARPA.
Because they haven't provided the info.
Well,
you know, but he's saying that people are jumping them in line. They're not. They all came in before
no,
the deadline at the same
they're not
time.
getting jumped in line.
Right?
They're getting piecemealed handed to us, and some of what Jeff is alluding to is he doesn't feel the priority has been put in the place that he feels it's most needed.
But he just stated that these came in after, but they didn't. They came
No.
in before the deadline.
No, I would
so,
disagree with that statement.
So I'm
They
just
all
making.
came in at the same time.
I mean,
I understand that.
okay, it didn't sound like you did.
No, but my concern all along has been the monies, huge amounts of money that are going through with these big ticket items for the town, et cetera. Granted, we have all the needs, but we're supposed to be trying to help our own to keep our businesses so that we can get some more businesses put in. And if we're not, even in the appearance of that we're supporting these people, it sends the wrong, to me, it sends the wrong message, because I've always been pushing since I've been on the board to try, we want business to come into this town, and so we gotta treat our own well.
I guess the reason I'm even saying it again is is because we are still doing that at the same time. We're talking about all of the applications that came in before the deadline. So it, you know,
But there was more applications than money.
yes.
This is why it comes to
But we're
the way
not,
we get it
we're not
piecemeal.
getting these guys, the group, the ARPA committee isn't getting in these late applications and they're
no.
jumping other people. That's
No,
what
but
that's
it
what it
runs
sounded
out.
like, and that's
But it
not
runs out.
But that's not what's happening.
I
So
know, but this will run out.
So just a couple of things. So the ARPA committee, so what we realized, once we got into the applications is, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Yeah.
So we've never done this process before. So we never, you know, we used our matrix, we based it off of Fitchburg, and, you know, we showed the whole board, you know, this is what we wanted to do and stuff. You know, we're looking at most likely having a second shot, right? Because we're gonna have leftover funds after this first round. We're gonna try to close everything down this week. We have a couple outstanding. We have a couple businesses that have their rest of their paperwork. We met last time, but we didn't have the full board. We wanted the full board to be able to vote. So everyone should be reviewing the Zoom meeting. We'll meet on Thursday. We'll make those final votes.
Yep.
Anything that still wasn't completely ready to go, like I know the senior center has a project, but they didn't have numbers, they didn't have figures, they didn't have their plan yet. We told them come back for the next round. So one of the things we're gonna actually talk about on Thursday night is what do we want from the next round? Do we wanna do the same matrix? Do we wanna do something a little bit different? But this would be a great time as well as if the board as a whole, if we had a direction to give the APRA committee of, you know, hey, priority number one, take care, you know, business applications should get a bonus points or whatever when you're scoring them and looking at them, so you check them out first, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Because we need just as much guidance, right? Because it's only two of us from the whole board,
Yep.
trying to balance things out, trying to balance out the needs, trying to balance out the impact of the project so it has the most impact of the town, of everybody. But, you know, Jeff, as you saw last week, and I think you already mentioned, is, you know, we are waiting for additional information, and we had to wait, you know, because folks were getting things together and finishing up their finances, and as we look at something, we'd have another question, so we had to wait a little bit longer. But we are continuing to move through. If the Go Green project, Go Green Manufacturing, see, separate from here, yeah,
Right?
I got it. If their project goes through for $90,000 tonight, that leaves us with $465,296 to go. If the Lions project also goes through for $23K, that would bring our balance down to $442,296. So that's what we're looking at. We started this evening at $555,296.
And how much is the total dollar amounts of asks that are still on the table?
I don't know. When it first came in, I was thinking it was like 1.8
It was
million.
1.9, and we had 1.4.
I think it was like 1.89 or
Yeah,
something.
it was 1.9.
And we had 1.4, yes.
And you're still considering the fire truck and the ambulance?
So we have them coming back. I think when we talked, the idea is that he still need to get more information. He needs to spec things out. I know Paxton recently just did one of their fire trucks, and their engine came up way higher than what was on our table. So they need to figure out, you know, what they're doing, and, you know, if you do have to go with one first, which one is it? Because that's ultimately going to become a question. We know that there's other people who want to put in applications, right? We had one of our meetings when we met over in the senior center. I forget, was it
Alfonso.
Cable?
Alfonso.
Yeah, Alfonso.
They thought, you know, that was a great opportunity for them to put in. We know we've talked about different things, remediation for different, that soil, that's, and so forth. So there are other programs and plans that, you know, likely will come out of the next round.
And we even had Deb Chamberlain came in for a different discussion with school committee, but during open session she was talking about her road, and so there was even discussion of would people be coming. So right for round two. So that you're right, there are other things to come. So okay, well, so we've got a couple applications in front of us, so to speak, and the way just so we understand the mechanics of this. So the way we did it before is, did we vote individually on each of previous ones that we wanted to you know, decide whether to move forward with? I don't recall.
Well, if I may, I think we should, because I have to recuse myself from the Lions.
I am 100% agreement, and we were gonna. I just wanted to actually know if we did that last time or not.
I think we did. I don't think we did 8 motions.
I think they were all town though.
Yeah, well, there was the
There was
public
no-
safety, Route 68,
With the exception
communications,
of the
Lombard,
assignment.
agri-metal
That's still
blower,
Yep.
Huh?
Ragged
All
Hill
town.
Road for Habitat for
All
Humanity
town.
was
Yep.
in that. Town of Hubbardston essential employee pay and electronic.
Yeah, we didn't do those individually,
Would be.
no,
No,
we
I think we
didn't.
did
But it
group.
was
Alright.
it was all town stuff.
You're right,
Yeah.
she just read them and it
Yeah,
was,
it's all
it was
town.
definitely didn't, so we're gonna go one at a time here, the way that they were presented to us. The first was the Go Green Manufacturing, so I guess, let's talk about that one first, if, entertain a motion, to discuss that further, or to approve, or whatever.
This one I'd like to make a motion, cause this is pure loss for Go Green Manufacturing for, the $50,781.26.
Was that the full amount?
So
the
there was
loss.
2 different grants.
Yeah.
There was one vote that the ARPA committee took for the amount that Katie just read, and that was for their actual lost revenue. And then there was a second grant for the purchase of trailers and their application, the amount of the remainder of that 90,000.
And both of those were
They were both
recommended?
approved.
Both approved,
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
so your motion is?
I wanna do
Just for the
the
50,000.
loss right now, because that is an absolute 100% loss, and I feel 100% that was the original scope of ARPA, and there should be no questions about that.
Okay, it's fine, we'll do a separate motion for that now, I have no problem
Second.
with that. Is there seconded, any discussion? Anyone in the audience wanna, have a question on that or anything? No? Okay, we'll vote, Chris is not recused on this, correct?
Correct.
We'll go all in favor?
Aye.
Yes?
Yes.
It is unanimous, okay, so there's that, so we're just gonna still stay with Grow Green for now, is there, there's still, part of the application, or, is that okay for me to word it like that, part of the
Sure.
application left? Is there a motion for, in any way on the second half of that, motion from anybody?
I would make a motion to award a grant to Go Green Manufacturing out of ARPA funds for the purpose of purchasing trailers as described in their application in the amount of $39,218.74.
Second.
Seconded, is there any discussion?
I have a quick question
Sure.
on this, just out of curiosity. Now, this is for capital, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does capital, this is where we get into some crunchy shit. And I don't know how else to say that. Because now we're not doing loss. We're giving her money, and I know it is specifically for her to buy the trailers, because the trailers have gone through the roof. Cause again, I watched the ARPA, and I seen all the paperwork.
Yeah.
But do we get into some kind of slippery slope with this kind of, I know they changed the scope, and I know, but you could go throw money outside and they're not gonna come back at us, which I feel is stupid. Cause I just don't wanna shortchange others coming down the road. I don't know how else to say. Some of these I feel like just need to be on hold until we get through everybody that needs to be gotten through, and then we can circle back around to these. You know what I mean? And that's not a no. I feel like it needs to just we're just gonna set this here to deal with it later, kind of
Well,
deal.
just to speak to that, I mean, there was a round of applications, and there was a time frame given for those applications.
Yep. But like Alfonso
So the
said, he
applications
didn't
are
know
all
it
in
was
on
there.
time. Well, shame on Alfonso,
Oh,
shame on
true.
somebody who didn't fill out an application.
True.
It was posted, it was noted, we did our due diligence, and these people that got their applications in on time, as directed, should not be overlooked or slighted because other people didn't.
Well, that's why the first one, I feel like, yes, that's 100%, that's her loss, she proved it. That's her loss, she lost, there's profits and loss, you can't make, you can make it up, but you claimed it down both stand, so you'd be kinda stupid too. And I know Kelly doesn't run her business stupidly, she runs a very, a good business over there. So, and that's why I said I'm very firm on that one, because that is the scope of ARPA, and capital investment really isn't.
Well, it is,
Yeah,
everything
why do you
is.
suggest
Yeah.
why do you
I mean,
suggest it
everything
isn't?
is.
Because
Everything's
well, that's
what's that?
because it is now, but the original scope of it wasn't.
Well, it is
That's the
now, though.
Well,
problem.
whatever it is now is what we gotta work with.
Let's let Kelly, go ahead.
It was my understanding that the purpose of the money was for projects that you had put off because of COVID, because of things that happened, you had to lay people off, whatever. I didn't lay anybody off. We were working, as you know, we were very busy. I paid my employees more because I didn't want them to go to McDonald's for, but I had money set aside to purchase trailers and was not able to do that because I had to use that money elsewhere. So that was my understanding of what the ARPA funds were for. So,
Okay.
that was my ask, and I mean, I have not matching funds, but I have money still set aside for it, but just not as much, and then, of course, trailers,
Yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah,
the pricing you
they're
showed us here.
nuts.
ridiculous.
That's crazy.
And
Everything
then
is
you gotta
nuts right
find them
now.
still, so.
Okay, is there any, we're in discussion, we have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion, from anybody? Seeing nothing, we'll move to a vote, we'll start with all in favor? Yes?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
I wanna abstain.
Abstain?
Yep.
Okay, did you vote?
I voted aye.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
sorry, I'll vote it
that
out.
would be 4 yeses, and 1 abstention, so it carries.
Thank you, I appreciate that, thank you very much.
I'm gonna recuse myself, Mr. Chair, from the next vote.
Sounds good. So we have the next item up is the Lions Club. As previously discussed, is there, you know, any action on this?
I would like to make a motion that we not deny it, we just kinda set it aside for now. And come back to it when we get through everybody else.
I will second that for discussion.
Is there any discussion?
Who discusses? You guys?
If you'd like to discuss, raise your hand and I can call on you, please.
You were just talking about losses. You yourself mentioned losses. We provided all the paperwork, we showed what we lost. I think it's pretty cut,
But you're not-
clear and dry. I'm
This-
sorry, I'm still speaking.
Sorry.
Okay? And we got all our paperwork in on time. These are losses that we suffered through the year. And I don't see where this is really any different than, I mean, yes, we're the Lions Club and we give this money away, but I don't see where that's much different than what was happening with Kelly's business. She suffered a loss, we suffered losses the same way. I think that, I don't really see why it should be tabled. I think that we got everything in on time and everything that was asked for.
Any
Yes.
further, okay, thank you. Any further discussion? So we have a second, and we're in discussion. So, no, so the motion is to put this on hold, just to be clear. All in favor of putting it on hold?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So it's 3 opposed, okay, so the motion doesn't carry. Is there another motion?
Oh, I'll make a motion to fund the Lions Club in the amount of $23,000 out of ARPA funds for recovery of lost revenue.
I'll second that. We're in discussion again. Is there any discussion?
I'm gonna, this isn't a business, it's a community-based organization. I don't understand how the loss for, that's like saying there's a loss for Girl Scouts. It's just, it's not the same as a business. It's not the same as the town, it's not the same, it's just not. I know you guys are great, you guys are a good group, I'm not saying you're not, but it's not even remotely the same as anything that I feel should be. And some of your Lions members have come up to me, they won't come in front of the cameras and say it, they tell me about it, that they can't even believe that this was an ask. They were kind of shocked that this came up, because again, it's a community-based, fundraising-based group. You're not a business. ARPA money is not a free-for-all, it has an end. The end will come, and then there'll be stuff left on the table that wasn't dealt with, or could have been dealt with, or should have been dealt with, or more could have been given to it, that is very important, cause Hubbardston we don't have extra money, ever. We don't have extra money for anything, trying to fix things, people are crying about their roads, and I totally understand, it's just one of those things where it just kills me, you know, and the whole fact that it was just, you know, it's just this, that's what some of these applications feel like, it was kind of done not in turn.
Well, I guess I would say, and you know, I appreciate how difficult it is for you to have this position. I know it's not.
Because I work with them, and
I get it,
and
so
that's
let me
the
just,
part that kills me.
let me just
because
say
I
that
like,
out loud, but
I don't want to sit there
I'm
and be
still
the
saying,
jerk in the room.
but I'm still saying, you know, kind of reiterating what I said before is, you know, this is all about the community. I know it's not, doesn't fit into a little box, not a
No.
little box, I don't mean it like that,
No,
but it
I
doesn't
know.
fit into a box.
I know what you're saying.
But it's still part of the community, a huge part of the community. And, you know, the overall point of this, was groups is the wrong word, people is the wrong word, there's no right word, that were adversely affected by, you know, the world stopping for 2 years. And we need to discuss and decide whether or not, whether it fits into that box that doesn't, you know, exist, that it's important enough to our community to be assisted by this program that just happened to come into place. So that's my part of discussion. Again, just, you know, you sort of said your piece, that's sort of my piece again, is I don't know any of these answers here too, but I'm just trying to make it a little bit wider community wise and less strict, I think, because I just don't know if we can do that with what happened to everybody. So anyway, we're still in discussion. Anyone else wanna chime in? We have a motion,
You got, yeah.
please.
Sure, Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road. 2 points here. One, I believe the Lions Club had additional loss, and all they did was identify the 2 events. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that, in my thinking, gives a little more credence to approving this. Normally, I would not recommend slicing it up and apportioning a part of it or approving a part. Normally, I'd want to see something black and white. Either you approve it or you don't. But in this case, I think both Katie's point and Dan's point, you know, they're all or nothing. Maybe there's a way to take that number and find something where you can all agree on an apportionment of their ask. And normally that isn't the way I would recommend doing business, but maybe in this case, this is a way so that everybody can walk away and feel a little bit good about it.
Compromise is what you're looking
King
for.
Solomon.
Yep,
Well,
that's
and
it.
that's why I asked for it to be put on hold. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I think other things should just be dealt with first, and then we come back to that. That was my original thought process. I don't understand why it couldn't have been, you know, other than no one else wanted to do it.
Well,
why.
that's the point, Katie. You're standing alone.
I'm standing
And
alone over here in the
I'm
corner.
trying to help you on that.
Yeah, I
a
know.
little bit.
But that's why I wanted, like, just put it on hold so that way we could circle back. And that way it's not a half, it's not a kinda sorta, it's a, we have the money still because it wasn't all depleted out. And everybody else, you know, like the businesses have been dealt with, the, you know, the things that like finance and stuff have thought through and actually had meetings on and talked about in depth, you know, it's.
But, and I don't mean to say it like this, and,
Yeah.
you know, love you mean it, but what you're saying is more worthy than this to
It's-
you. So,
It's
that's-
more of an impact on something that, like I said, at the end, Heather asked a very poignant question, was there anybody that wasn't helped due to lack of funds? And granted, Chris came up with a good thing, people do have pride, and they don't necessarily, they might not have been coming out. But I think if there was still money left over, then I think it, like, there's no way to tell if there was like a stampede of people that would have came if there was money. You know what I mean? And I get what you're saying. There could have been people that didn't come that needed help, but you weren't like $0 either. And that's what I'm saying. You're not $0 now, and there's not like people you're putting off because you don't have the funds. And that's why I'm saying I think it should be put on hold for the moment and make sure that we deal with businesses that were actually completely shut down, and that's their paycheck and their employees' paychecks.
Look, I want them all to get back to us with, it sounds like, multiple requests for additional information too,
Yeah.
and they haven't. So,
No, they
you know,
have. They've been.
They're coming, right? I know
Yes.
it's all coming, and we're gonna get that in front of us too. We can talk about every single one of them individually, like we have tonight. I think we should give it all of those discussions their due. And I don't think every single one of them has to be compared to each other, because I think that's hard to do in going through this crisis that we went through. I think it's just hard for everyone to just compare something that's a benefactor to the town and community and goodwill and to, something else. It's just so hard to do. So
I know, that's why I'm saying.
I know. So
That was
anyway.
the original why I said hold.
All right, we're still in discussion.
Anyway.
No, I'm not shutting it
Can
down.
I say something about ARPA?
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just state who you are and where you live, please.
Chris Borrego, Hoboken, Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you.
Do you sign in on the sheet?
ARPA was set up for 3 basic categories, right? Charitable, public, and private businesses. There is no specific amount to be given, or no percentage specific to be given to any one of those groups. It's all up to the board and what the ARPA committee and what the select board approves from that. In our town, I think the percentage from combined charitable organizations and private businesses amounted to what?
He's pointing at you.
Oh, you're asking me these questions? Then I'm like, turn from
Just
me.
throw out
Well, I
some
think-
low
What's
you
the
ever
right
see- You ever
answer?
see the movie? You ever see,
throw some low percent amount.
I think it was maybe 10 or 11, 12%
Yeah.
of the total nut.
All right,
So-
well,
That's
Doing
okay.
math.
Well,
Doing
I'll
math.
find that for you next time.
I think naturally, it was about 10, 11, 12%. So we naturally, as a town, have gotten lucky to have upwards of 85% of this money to spend on our public needs. So I think funding the private things is the right thing to do, given the small percentage that it's actually gonna take up. We should be happy to fund them, they're good organizations, and I think it should be considered a small percentage of what we can do with the money we were given.
What I was gonna say, Kellyanne Icaboni, Morgan Road, but also member of the Lions Club. What I was gonna say was that, there was an ARPA committee comprised, and, based on the information that the committee that you put in place, they decided, they read the application, they spoke with, Ed Blanchard, he answered all of their questions, and they unanimously approved the application, because based on what their charge was, they decided that this was a good thing to do. I mean, Ed's not here on Zoom tonight, he's in Florida still, so, I mean, if we had any questions, it may go to him, I don't know, but, I mean, the ARPA committee, like Chris just stated, was put in place to handle businesses, local charities, groups that lost money, not, something for a fire truck or an ambulance that the town would be buying just because there's money. So, I mean, I just, here, I have the original document on, who was to apply for ARPA funds. I don't know who you were talking to, that was a member of the Lions Club,
There was a few of them, but they
because
don't
it was
wanna
never
be
discussed at a
talked.
meeting,
No,
so
'cause
I
they
don't even know
wanna
how they
say
knew about it.
anything.
I guess what I'll say, Kelly, to that is, and again, I think you can see where I'm standing on this, but I would say that, the ARPA committee, their charge is to provide the function that they're asked, similar to the school committee or whatever that provide the function.
Right.
But ours is different.
Right.
So we want their input, we want
Absolutely.
their
Yep.
recommendations and
Mhm.
all that, but they're supposed to be sort of myopic in their charge and their view and how to sort of get through what they need
Right.
to get through.
So they've screened everybody and then made
there are other
presentations
things
to
that
you.
we need to talk
Mhm.
about as well.
But
So
the ultimate decision, That's
Completely
our-
understood, but,
assignment.
yeah,
I
no, I
mean-
know you know that. I'm
Yeah.
just
yeah,
so all right. So still in discussion. Anybody want to add one or two final things, or are we?
Well, if I could, with addition here, it appears about 86,550 was the total dollar amount from the various, from the one nonprofit and the businesses, and 4.8%.
But we just did 90,000.
Okay, well, that's not 4.8%.
Your math is done, sir.
Sure, Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road. As a former manager, trying to put myself in the Lions Club position, if I knew, if I had a bird in the hand, they can plan better. You know, they're trying to regain this past issue. And I understand trying to, I don't know if putting it on hold sort of gives them anything. You know, you talked about hope and wishing and whatnot, and that other thing I won't mention.
But you remembered it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes,
I'll
always a good
allude
time.
to it. But if they had a bird in the hand, some amount that they knew was going to be allocated to them, then they can plan and they can go out and do this community outreach that they mentioned earlier that they didn't do. The need is there. They didn't take in the funds. They knew there was a train wreck coming, so they avoided that. You know, others maybe let the train wreck occur, and then that becomes all of a sudden a crisis. They didn't do that. So, in my estimation, and normally I wouldn't recommend this, but that giving them a bird in the hand so that they can do some planning and continue their community outreach, and because the future is not predictable, but if the board were to approve this and allocate it now, I believe that those funds then can be, David, would this be correct, that those funds would be transferred to the Lions Club in some foreseeable future? You know, within 30 days maybe, is that?
Yeah, so it's just a cash flow management, so probably towards the end of June.
Okay, well, within the foreseeable future.
Right.
That's the end of my comment.
All right, so I'm gonna allow one more, and then we're gonna move to a vote, and this is math. So
It's 174,550 because I forgot the 90,000.
Okay.
9.6%.
all right, thank you. Pretty close to what Chris had said. All right, so we have a motion to approve the amount that was presented to us relative to the Lions.
What was that amount again? That was 23
Which
something?
amount?
No more
The
math
Lions.
for her.
No more math.
23,000.
The Lions Club is 23,000.
23,000. So there's a motion and a second. We're gonna go to a vote. So that all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
That's 3 opposed. Abstain.
I'm saying.
Okay, so 3 in favor, 1 abstain. So the motion carries. And that's ARPA for the night.
That's ARPA.
Permission to
quite.
rejoin the meeting,
You're
Mr. Chair?
back
Till
in.
next
You're
time.
back in
Vote
now.
on that?
Should have been on this.
So we're gonna just move around a little bit, so we can, you know, Laura's been, I know she loves this stuff, but we're gonna move her up a couple spaces here, cause she sat there for a couple hours almost. So we're gonna go next to old business D first, and that's gonna be Keep Hubbardson Beautiful. Discussion of reduced budget for consideration, that's what it's on here, but you had asked to come in front of us based on reviewing, I think, the last meeting on video. So you're here.
Here I am. Laura Foley, 12 Pitcherville Road, Hubbardston, Massachusetts. When I came before this body in February and asked if Keep Hubbardston Beautiful could become a town committee, one of the goals was to enable it to persist after I stopped being an active part of it. And another stated goal was to have funding. And in February, Dan said, don't worry about funding. So I didn't. I didn't do any fundraising, and then I found out that I should have worried because there was no magical pot of money that was going to give me any funding for this year. As a result, I did a little deficit spending. It's certainly not on the scale of a business like Go Green. Still, the balance of Keep Hubbardston Beautiful stands at negative $28.27. So, not a giant amount of money to be sure, but still deficit spending against the promise of funds that eventually didn't materialize. Tonight's meeting has been very illuminating, both for the discussion about what constitutes a successful ARPA application and the passage of the Lions Club application. Because, according to the guidelines here,
What is guidelines of?
the guidelines of ARPA. So this is on the town website. I'm showing a picture of the town website with the ARPA
Laura, I
guidelines.
have it here printed if you want it on a larger scale.
Just
Well,
the most
simply,
recent.
it is, this is what's on the website, so I'm assuming that this is the most recent.
They make changes all the time as far as up more allowances that you can do.
But it states the town of Hubbardston will be seeking proposals from public agencies and registered nonprofits for projects that meet the objectives of the ARPA state and local fiscal recovery funds, etc. So I would propose that the Keep Hubbardston Beautiful does meet that criteria, especially since they passed the amount, the fundraising amount, the funding amount that I'd requested, which, and I apologize, I don't have a huge head for numbers, but I think $1,000 made the cut. And that was voted down by a majority vote of the select board on, a couple of weeks ago during the last meeting, because Keep Hubbardston Beautiful is not a business. I would like to quote Katie, you're a very quotable person.
Go ahead.
She said, "If I die tomorrow, there's a whole bunch of stuff I know would stop in an instant because nobody would do what I do."
Mhm.
Katie also made it very clear that fundraising isn't rocket science, that it's simple, that all you need to do is send out emails and the money will flow in. I would say that for someone, or specifically Katie, who has a rather flexible workday because of the business that she owns and the commitments that she's made to the town and the volunteer commitments that she has, she is at a little more liberty than someone with a full-time job to spend that time sending out those emails, following up on those emails, creating those relationships. And she is really good at it. She is excellent at forging strong relationships with the business community, with individual donors, to get the money that she needs to fund events like the Hubbardston Fair, Frozen Assets, Light Fight, and Dinghy Dash. All of those things are wonderful, and she is a powerhouse. I wish I could be more like her in that respect, but I'm not. I hate fundraising, and I'm no good at it because that dislike of it comes out. I'll go up to someone and say, "Hey, I have an event, maybe you want to give me money or maybe not." And other people are really good at saying, "Hey, I need money for this, it's worthwhile, give me money." My initial hope in applying for ARPA was to stave off that fundraising ask for at least 1 year. And I don't know if it is possible in light of the fact that the Lions Club got their $23,000 passed to re-up my proposal for $1,000. The similarities between Lions Club and Keep Hubbardston Beautiful are that we serve the public. But another thing that Katie brought up at the meeting was that the reason why Keep Hubbardston Beautiful should be denied the funds is because other towns, taxpayers' money don't pay for these kinds of events, and that if people found out, if she, for instance, had applied for ARPA funds for, let's just say, Dinghy Dash, that people would hit the roof. Why are you asking for these federal funds, which are supposed to be recovery funds, to have an event like this for the public? And she said that Keep Hubbardston Beautiful was very similar, that it's an event for the public. I would counter that it is an event that serves the town, because in this event, people are actively putting in hours of labor in order to pick up other people's trash that the DPW can't take care of. I would also put out there that if you paid DPW staff to do the work that these volunteers do, fill a dumpster in a day, that is it could be 1.5 tons of garbage. That's a lot of man hours that you would otherwise have to pay for if you wanted to see the same results. T-shirts were another bone of contention. That T-shirts, the general attitude seemed to be that they were frivolity, that they were something that if they were available that day, that people might not want to put them on because they're fresh out of the bins of wherever they've come from and are not necessarily laundered. I would counter that by saying that these T-shirts aren't frivolous. They are a public safety measure. They are high visibility T-shirts for people who are picking up garbage along a road where the speeds of the traffic speed is posted 45, but people exceed that all the time. These T-shirts that are in the budget are to protect people, to give them that visibility so that drivers can see that there are clumps of pedestrians and that they should slow down to avoid them. But I really underestimated the amount of paperwork I needed to provide to back up my assertions and my funding requests, so take one, pass it along, please. And I do understand this is new information because I had to do it during a lunch break today and did not have time to submit it. But there's, on the top part of the document are all of the things that need funding in various combinations. It's not the entire top of the document, but just those are the things that I would spend money on.
Recycle the extra paper there.
Or you could pass it around, who cares? I'll make note paper out of the stuff that you throw away. The, now I lost my train of thought, just crashed right into a wall.
Do you need one of your papers back?
I just looked around,
Okay.
I don't know. I saw such a roll there too. Are you interested or just spectators? Okay. So everything that's in the white portion is the things that I spend money on. And I just remembered what I was going to say is that in deference to wanting to limit spending, there is no line item here for the things that I would like to get but which are not necessary. Bumper stickers, magnets, giveaways, branded things that would be given away. And down at the bottom, that's the money shot. The items in gold, because gold is great, I want you to look at that favorably, are the high-end ask. And the high-end is, it's initially expensive on the first year because it involves a lot of initial expenses. And then away from that high-end, next 2024 and beyond, the cost goes down. Something that is definitely included in the high-end budget is a dumpster rental, which I would estimate for the dumpster rental and the trash removal to be approximately $500. And the reason I ask for that is because this year, as Katie pointed out, the dumpster was 3 hours late. There was no communication, although I had told the vendor, Sarah McMaster is going to be your contact, here's her information, they exchanged emails, copied me, so he knew that she existed, she knew that he existed. And they would usually come and set up the dumpster at 7:45. They came at 10:45. And I understand there was a pile of garbage that was still being collected. Once you start an event like this, you can't turn people away and say don't come back. But for 3 hours, there was that uncertainty. Is he going to deliver? When he did deliver, Sarah McMaster, the person who was in charge, told me that he acted like he didn't have one reserved for us, she said. At first he said they were emptying a dumpster, then later he told her that he had to get one from a customer. And I would put forth that if we were paying customers, that event would be prioritized and that would never have happened. Now, it worked out okay, but as someone taught me a long time ago, hope is not a method. I hope he shows up and does what he said. I sure hope we don't have a big pile of garbage. For 3 hours, that's all they had, and then they finally did deliver. But by putting that $500 into the high-end budget projection, that would ensure that the trash collected actually gets carted away. The low-end projection in the pink assumes that there will be a dumpster donation every year for free, and it is also assuming that we do not purchase the t-shirts, because the word t-shirt seemed to be a tough pill to swallow, but safety vests. The cheapest ones I could find that didn't look like a piece of Kleenex were about $3.22 a piece, and that did not include shipping. Now, I will say that I did not do exhaustive online research, so they might be less expensive, more expensive. The longer we give them lead time, the less shipping costs. But the point is that with the cost of the t-shirts, and again, I didn't have enough lead time because the vendor, Monty Tech, had Good Friday off and then they had all last week off. $400 was their price to print two-sided shirts. So if it's just one-sided black ink, that's a lot less expensive. Less work, less setup, less material, less ink. So I do expect that to be less. And I do not expect to be buying 100 t-shirts every year. What I'd like to do is have 100 safety visibility things available every year. So if that means we have to get 10 because we only gave 10 t-shirts away that previous year, then we get 10. If it got wiped out because everyone wanted a t-shirt, then it's the higher end, 100. So, boiling it down, I have two requests. One is if the ARPA funds can be somehow, if that vote could be rescinded and redone, then that would take care of this problem for a year at the $1,000 level. So not the highest amount funded, but doable. If not, then I would request that Keep Hubbardston Beautiful become an official part of the town budget and get funding every year. Because I really do think that this is a worthwhile venture, that the volunteers do give of their time to make the town look better. They provide a service, and I think it's a boost to the town to have something where people all are working together for a common goal.
Laura, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What are the dues? If this is a volunteer thing that they're coming to help, what
It's
are
to
the?
the-
There,
it's
you're gonna
to
pay
this-
to the main
yeah, to the-
branch, to the Keep Massachusetts Beautiful.
Oh,
the
okay,
affiliation as a
alright,
whole.
thank you.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions if
Please
I can.
ask.
So Laura, just to clarify, so right now you had funds that were in the Parks and Rec budget, correct?
Yes.
David, question for you. When we had talked on email relative to various budgets, economic development had a sign maintenance line. Your response was the sign maintenance refers to the town sign at the intersection of High Street and Main Street. Yes?
That's where you,
Yes, Katie?
No.
no?
No, it's a different
Not
sign?
even close. It's for the EDC.
Yes.
So for the EDC sign, you're talking about they actually have like 4 line items under their budget.
Yes.
This has
they-
nothing to do with anything you guys have in your packets.
It's
So
under sign, they have
Yeah.
QC website, local advertising, and sign maintenance.
that is for the sign at the Gardner line and the sign at the corner of 62 and 68.
Okay.
The green signs.
So the welcome to
Hubbardston.
Hubbardston
Yes.
signs.
Welcome to Hubbardston.
And they're supposed to be, they were supposed to, we as a group, were supposed to be getting advertising to go on there
Yeah.
to help pay for the future signs.
Okay. Well, so I don't know if
Do you need
anyone
me to
else
go
is.
elaborate
No,
more
no,
on
no,
that?
no, no. So I was just with reviewing that, I had that number in my mind, and the reason I asked is because there's a couple things in the economic development line that we haven't really used, right? So we have, the QC website. Actually, I take that one back. The sign maintenance is the major one, where I think one year we spent 135 out of 1,000.
Yeah, 'cause it's supposed to have.
I'm just wondering, I know we
You
had.
need to take that up with the EDC.
That's-
I'm not the chair of that
Well,
one.
I'm
I
just
sit on
saying,
it, but-
Laura had come to us before and we talked about trying to find some funding for her. We've discussed about it not necessarily being the best fit for ARPA funds. But I was wondering, maybe it's a potential to
They're
take.
supposed to be putting in 5 more signs. Or 4 more
Okay,
signs.
well, I'm trying, Kate.
They don't even have the money to do that.
I give up on that.
I hear
No,
you.
I
So
just-
You
I'll-
see where I'm
it's
going?
not-
let me,
there's- yeah, I
let me
know.
jump in. So I remember being back there, and so I've felt bad about this, the whole process, to be honest, for the last few months, because what I feel like this has turned into one of those, my God, it's so hard to get stuff done in town government situations, right? And that just drives me crazy, because we always try to be efficient, and we try to, not fall into that stereotype. So that I've actually, just thought about it a number of times, just getting sort of angry about this, and not to make excuses, but at the time it wasn't anticipated it would get into the complications ARPA has caused, I guess, discussion wise, philosophically, between the board and all that sort of stuff. So that was not something, it wasn't something that I think I personally was trying to sweep under the rug and just sort of, even though it sort of sounds like it, and I know the way you presented it is accurate. I mean, I remember all of that, but it wasn't that. It was just like, this sounds like something great, that we should just continue on with because it's low cost and blah, blah, blah. And then it just sort of went in a different direction. So we're at where we're at, and we need to, and thank you for putting this together. And I know, you and that you're taking, you know, this as seriously as that you would take anything else. So anyway, so we're here and you're basically coming to us with the two things that you just stated, which was we're not there yet.
I just
I'm not.
before you get to anywhere, I have a laundry list of because I know I made her mad at the last meeting.
No.
You
Not
said
at
it
all.
on your
you know what,
meeting,
I'm not,
and I just
let me
wanna
finish what
get
I was,
into.
Let me finish
yeah.
what I was getting. So because we can go off on tangents on anything.
No, I'm not going on a tangent. I just want to explain a couple things.
Fine,
that's all.
but what I'm getting at is there is a purpose for, you know, discussing items isn't always just to discuss them. Is we have a purpose for them. We have a purpose, and sometimes it takes longer to get to that purpose. Sometimes it doesn't. And the purpose of why you're here, in making case and us discussing it all, is to ask us to either rescind and revote or to do what you said as an alternate, which is set this up for future funding through the town. So that's what we're here to do. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so seeing that we talked about you, well, you were not here last time, and I know you watched it, and I watched your ARPA, not your ARPA, your.
Keep Hubbardston Beautiful.
Yes.
It's not Go Green.
I know, it's not Go
almost
Green.
as good.
I'm getting all messed up from Heather over there. She's
Sorry.
like taking me down with her. So the Keep Hubbardston Beautiful, the one meeting you actually did have. So first of all, let me just say, it's not just the t-shirts that I personally kind of think is a waste of taxpayer money, nor do the other people. I focused on the t-shirt because that was the biggest dollar amounts. Keep Hubbardston Beautiful and Keep Massachusetts Beautiful all came based off of the Earth Day, which is a waste not, want not. And basically, in my point of view and a lot of other people's points of view, bumper stickers, buttons, t-shirts, all this stuff is just stuff adding to the already overused, use once kind of throwaway society. Not that bumper stickers, yeah, they go in the car. Yeah, the button, great, it goes somewhere over here. But it's not, like, useful. It's not anything that no one would die without it. And that's my problem. No one's gonna die without any of this bling, okay? And that's where I have a problem with it. Not, if it's fundraised, if you all go do fundraising, that's the point of the committee, was to make it so you guys can fundraise. You said yourself, you're not gonna be on this committee next year, or at least the chair. But you have a committee. And I don't understand why you can't fundraise. The whole dumpster fiasco, I'm not sure why they were a little bit late. They have never been late for anything that I've ever done, and I've gotten free dumpsters for every time I've ever asked. I'm unsure and unclear why. I do know Sarah didn't have a direct phone number. She asked me if I had one, and I didn't have one on me, so I couldn't help her in any way. I'm like, text Laura. I don't know the direct line to whoever the contact was at the moment. So, but that being said, is you have a full year and an actual committee. Nowhere in this state is any of this taxpayer funded. In Gardner next door, they do, like I said, the nip hunt. They do them, they keep Hubbardston, keep Berry Beautiful. You see those signs everywhere. It's all fundraised because it is a good thing. I think this is a good thing. And I think it should go on, and I'm not against it at all. I'm just against funding it, especially when you have a year to ask for a very small dollar amount that you're asking for. It's not a huge amount to figure out how to get it fundraised. You have a whole year and a committee to do it. I understand you hate doing it, but that you have a committee, And the other thing too, the only one I would just want to point this out, your new banner that you talked about going across the street, that pole's gonna move, so don't buy one.
Okay.
Okay, I found that out and the Lions are gonna have the same issue, and I did tell, the Greens about that. That pole that's in the middle when they redo the center, there's not gonna be a pole there anymore, so there's not gonna be able to span at some point. So, don't waste your money on that one. But other than that, the rest of the stuff, I personally think it's trash. It's all, it's not trash, it's just not needed. It's just, doesn't go with the whole green movement or any of that, planet Earth kind of stuff. But again, if that's what your committee chooses to do, then fundraise for it. That's all I'm saying. You have a full year. I don't understand how such a small dollar amount should be any kind of problem, especially on a yearly basis. Even at the max dollar amount that you have, $1,607. Even if you did that every single year, it's a full year.
Let me point out that bumper stickers, magnets, stickers, water bottles, anything branded, that's not on this budget.
Well, I'm just saying, whatever,
No,
you could have a $10,000
specifically
budget.
pointed out that these things are frivolous, and in concession to that opinion, I removed them. You brought the t-shirts back up again, and I would say that that's a safety necessity.
It's hard to put a t-shirt on when you have a sweatshirt, cause it's always in April and sometimes it's even snowing.
Well, we get the best, I mean, that.
Yeah,
that's what's-
but
So
that's, I'm just
whatever
saying, it's.
bright, shiny thing to make sure people don't get run down, that's the goal. As far as, could I raise the funds? Of course I could, I've got a whole year, right? Should I raise the funds? That's the thing that I would really like some clarity on, because I think that this is worth the town spending money on it. Do other people ask for town money? I don't know, I haven't researched it. If you can tell me exactly who is doing all these for free and cite your sources, then that's great, but.
The Gardner Nip Hunt next door they got one on May 5th. Anthony's Liquors pays 5 cents for every single nip bottle that gets picked up, and that's how they fundraise. In fact, I think they raised like 10 grand last year, or something like that. Now granted, we don't have an Anthony's Liquors, but maybe it could be some Hubbardston idea of a play on something like that, that a business could get behind to help clean up. But again, it's the creativity of the committee. You know what I mean? Like how
Yeah.
fun and can you get with it, you know?
Well, my big roadblock to that is that it seems as if this is a service that people are performing for the town, and if this is a service that would otherwise, if it were performed, would have to be paid for out of some budget to pay the people to collect the garbage. It just seems like if the town isn't willing to spend money on it, then it's undervaluing it.
But we used to do this all the time. I have many pictures of myself, cause I was down on the Gardner line in the paper of picking up, and nobody was paid for it. There was no money involved in it. It was Earth Day, everybody's gonna Hubbardston Earth Day, we go pick up the streets, and I don't even think we had a dumpster back then. There might have been one, do you remember, Kelly?
I don't remember dumpster, no.
You don't remember dumpster, everyone just kinda threw it away, but it was a town-wide event, and there was no cost affiliated, there was no anything, it was just, everyone just went out there and cleaned up, because it was the Earth Day thing, and this is the same basic idea, just instead it's trying to get bigger for the state with the keep and then the town beautiful, you know?
So if it was so great, why did it stop?
It went on for a long time. I don't know why it totally stopped, but again, the whole fact is just because it starts back up doesn't mean that it should be tax funded, or you know what I mean, like town
I know
funded.
what you mean.
It's hard to argue with the school system that's gonna want us to pay ungodly amounts of money if we keep shelling out for all these little things that aren't, especially like this one, tax funded anywhere in the state. You know, it's like these little things start adding up, and then people start looking at us like, what are you guys doing? Well, if you can fund all this stuff, why can't you pay for your kids to go to school? You know, and they just throw us under the bus.
Well,
Yeah,
can I just jump in here, Katie, again?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think
Go
you're
ahead.
not looking at the intent of the ARPA funding.
No, she's
From
asking
all
for a
your
line
comments-
item.
No, I'm asking for.
From all your comments, it seems like you're leaning, you wanna push all the ARPA funds to public projects, which is
No.
commendable. But, you know, ARPA was not designed just for public, it's for public, private, and nonprofit. There's 3 distinct sections, and I already told you the numbers, I think we're in a good position with our
But this isn't a nonprofit, this is a town entity.
nonprofit, and, you know, private applications.
But this isn't either of those. This is a town entity.
Now it's great, but that still falls in the public, so this still falls within one of
Public
the
agencies.
categories.
public
Right,
agencies.
still falls in.
Which-
Kelly, do you wanna say something?
I
saw
was
you.
just gonna say, something that Laura had said at another meeting that I was at, was that, I mean, whether you like fundraising or not, your point was that I hate to keep going back to the same businesses year after year, because, you know, everybody gets hit, there's only a certain number of businesses in town, and there's always somebody knocking at the door for, you know, $100 here, $500 here, and that was what you had said, I hate to keep going to ask these same, you know, 10, 12, whatever businesses for money every single year, so that was why you were saying you didn't want to have to fundraise for that amount before, was because you're banging on the same door and so is everybody else.
David, is there room in the budget to increase by, you know, some measure near $1,000 and to balance it on the revenue side by putting $1,000 in the Parks and Rec for this purpose?
Out of a $10 million budget, I think that could happen.
That's kinda why I said that in the first place, cause I figured there was, and then it's turned into this. I don't mean, it just has, we're at where we're at, so we're trying to figure it out, but I mean, that's part of, you know, the discussion of whether, what we're gonna do, that's a valid question, you know, could we, right, and the answer probably is yes, right.
What if we didn't put it in the budget for a year, you know, maybe your group could work on trying to fundraise in the same time, see how it goes, and see how it results and see what we're looking at next year, and then figure out, do we continue some sort of funding?
So that would
Continue
involve,
budget.
sorry to interrupt.
No, it's
So
okay.
that would involve not rescinding a vote, because that would be, you know, keeping
Correct.
the ARPA vote the same as it
Yep.
was. And that would involve the second part of, you know, what Laura was talking about, which is funding it through, because it's a town committee, funding it
Yeah.
for a year, which it's all ARPA was gonna do in the first place anyway, we talked about that last time. Funding it for a year and then, going from there, right?
But how does the Keep Hubbardston Beautiful committee get whole for this most recent project? What is the project?
They just had it,
There.
it's
It's
only
done.
it's
already done.
$28 in the whole,
$28.
Parks and Rec just absorbs the $28 out of their budget.
Where's your wallet?
So,
So we're talking for future events.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
goal is to not have to come before the board every year to ask for money.
I know, but, I know.
Just out of curiosity, not to be a total dink, but who's picking up the signs? Cause I had picked up a few of them that were like in the middle of the street getting run over and like, where am I going
Well,
with these?
The original ask to the committee members were, please put out your signs and collect them after the event. And
Okay, they're
to date,
still everywhere.
I've seen them everywhere, so I asked them again to get their act together
Just
and pick
do
them up,
the
'cause
signs like like the Lions and like the Hubbardston Fair do at the ends, just do the
Wow.
ends.
it takes.
Just make them obnoxious like colors. So they stand out.
Obnoxious colors cost more money.
No,
Yes?
no, it would,
This is
oh,
a
I do it for
form of
free.
committee.
Oh, you mean painting signs?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
that.
like one, like, or you know what I mean, like the couple right there, like the lions
Like
right
that
there.
hand-drawn
Yes,
sign I had.
yes,
That's-
the totally obnoxious ones,
Two
those are the
sides
best
to it.
ones.
If the answer
I
is
love
you
them.
don't,
There's three
You
right
set a
now down
precedent.
this side for a
other
car
committees
show or
could then come
something.
before us and ask
But
for
I
variance
have
as
put that
opposed
ask
to-
out, pick up your mess, kids, and
They're
so one
everywhere.
of the answers, Jeff, could be, right?
Oh, you
Another,
heard what I was
I
asking?
did, and I knew
Okay.
where you're going, cause I had the initial question when we first had this conversation months ago,
Mhm.
right? So as a private nonprofit, right, and maybe that's what can stem from the I don't know, whatever the state's beautification program is that I can't come up with the right name for.
Keep Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
I believe associating with them might give you some way of link to their 501c3 status. Is that
It might.
possible? If that's the case, that gives people the arm to fundraise. And they could essentially have they could have their
Making a
committee that's a
nonprofit.
town committee,
Yeah.
and then they could quote unquote have the non-profit arm of the committee. You can overlap the same people, but they're essentially two different arms. And I know when I was in Haverhill, that's what we actually did. We had Haverhill, I don't know, whatever it was. The names, keys get me all messed up in my head, right?
It's not me, that's all
we
you.
were officially appointed by the city on one hand, but then we had other people. Some are the same, some were different, which was the fundraising arm and the 501c3.
Could we do something like a matching amount? Could we say, hey, we've got this town committee, we've got, you know, we will, the committee, the funding from
Careful
the town.
what you say, cause how high will it go?
No,
match.
up to, I was about
Okay.
to say, up to
Okay.
$1,000 a year, up to $500, no, I'm just asking, like, whether or not that's something that's possible. Again, it doesn't, it doesn't satisfy everybody, I'm just wondering if that's something that, you know, the town will, match up to $600, you know, in kind, meaning, you know, if 600 is raised, we pay 600, if 400 is raised, we pay 400, that sort of thing. I don't know if that's even a possibility.
Well, what would be to the question I was asking, it strikes to me that what's gonna stop other committees from asking for
I
the
mean,
same?
anybody can ask for anything, we just, you know, each one can be individually reviewed, just say
Is
no.
it, is
It's-
the
yeah,
fact
it's
that there
easier
are a
said than
committee
done.
that we're in this bind, cause, you know, when you first started, you weren't a committee, correct?
Right. Rag
There's a
And then,
committee
then
with
we've made you a
volunteers.
committee, so is this why we're in a bind?
Well,
Because we have other town committees that aren't budgeted.
But it was
and they
gonna
don't
go
get
away
money.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Because Laura wasn't gonna be able to do it, so it was either gonna go away or it was gonna become a committee.
That I understand.
Right.
So, but we're in this bind and, cause, no, I totally support what you're doing there and what the group does. It's just,
So what if we asked David to see if he could find $1,000 squishing around in there to throw in the Parks and Rec for this purpose for next year? In the meantime, David and or Ryan and Laura work together to figure out what the legal answer is to the question of how does one fundraise and one still get funds from the town at the same time? And to Dan's point, can you do a matching? I don't know if that's, I get the concept, but I don't know if you can do the
so
town
you're
funds.
saying then, I asked David for a one-time,
So we'd be asking him for at least for right now to go find, see if he can squish out $1,000 with the revenues or what have you, throw it into the Parks and Rec for the purposes of
This-
Hubbardston, I don't know, whatever the
well,
day
for
is.
the,
Yeah.
for
Clean
this,
up
for
day.
1 year, for a 1 year period.
For FY 23.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble.
Clearly.
Keep Hubbardston beautiful.
Yeah, so that's kind of a punt, I agree, but it is also, you know, an act of, I think, it's an act of, you know, sort of goodwill to the process. Not that, I'm speaking for anybody here, this is my mind, that's what that does, is it answers a few questions that just came up tonight that we can't answer here in the room, but it does, you know, move things along, because the last thing we wanna do is not do something, I think, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't wanna see the thing disappear, but it.
Yeah, no, I just even
Yes,
mean
right.
do something tonight, deal with it, because it gets me back to my
Well,
whole,
'cause the
like, we're
other
not
two-
town government.
The other thing too is, if Laura's stepping down, you have no idea what this new committee's gonna do.
Only,
Like
we're
what
only
they're-
doing it for
what-
1 year, correct?
Right,
Yeah.
this would be just.
What,
an act.
I'm just saying, you have no idea what they're actually going to, they might take this and run with it, or they might decide not to do half of the, you know what and I'm not saying that 1,000 is 1,000 is 1,000, that's, I'm not talking a dollar amount, I'm just saying, if you're gonna have new people running this, and this is Laura's idea, but Laura is stepping down.
But if the police department has $1,000, they can't just go out and buy $1,000 watch.
No, I'm not saying they're gonna, I'm
know?
saying, what I'm saying is
So
they
it
might
has to be
choose to fundraise,
justifiable.
or they might choose not to buy t-shirts, or they might choose to go do something, you know what I mean? They
But
might,
we can't predict the
find-
future.
I
We
know,
have to
that's
act
what I'm
on the
saying.
here and now, which is
But-
funding for 2023. And
Yeah.
we don't know what Laura's future is gonna be, or what the
well,
new
she already
committee's,
said at the, her
what the
meeting.
new committee's gonna be, and what they're gonna be able to do, or fundraise, or whatever. All we can do right now is, you know, allocate the $1,000 so this project doesn't die in 2023.
Right.
It wouldn't die though,
Well, but
'cause-
worst case scenario, which no one wants, but let's say, all right, we allocate the $1,000, okay, and the committee disappears because there are no volunteers, the money's gonna come back to us.
True, very true.
So, it's not
But
a
it
question of
wouldn't- yeah, but it wouldn't just die.
We're not, it's no, there's no gamble here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's $1,000 for your expenses, and if they don't do anything, the $1,000 come back to us anyway, no one else is gonna be spending that money.
True.
Well, to your point, Katie,
So-
frozen assets was something that I developed in, like, 2008, I think. And you took it over and took it in a completely
Different
better,
direction.
different and better direction, so.
Well, that's what I mean, and
Yeah,
that's
so
what, they
it's-
could take it in a completely different direction, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're, you know, they might go somewhere totally different on a different realm of, because like, one of the ladies was you know, as the bottles and cans come in, you have a lot of trash and waste, and they were like, no, that's recyclable, and it's like, well, yes, but it's not recyclable through these people, so the only place I have to go with it, and they were like, no, and
One of the ladies who was manning the event?
yes, so they took it home to recycle, which I'm fine with, I'm not arguing, I'm not arguing that point, I'm just like, I don't have a truck to put this in.
Alright, so I'm gonna
So,
move,
and that's
no,
what I mean, it might go,
Um,
they were talking about cardboard and shredding
I was gonna-
and all
I was
kinds of
gonna say, can
crazy
we
stuff,
stop
which
it?
is
I'm
great.
gonna
Yeah.
do that, but I'm gonna let, Heather say one more
I
thing.
was just wondering, Dan, if you'd entertain a motion.
That's what I was just about to say.
I'd like to make a motion that we ask David and Ryan to put in the budget under Parks and Rec $1,000 for the purposes of
Keep Hubbardson beautiful.
keep covers and beautiful
Nailed it.
Committee,
Chris has got it.
committee
committee,
For 2020.
for FY23.
Second it.
Okay, discussion, so I'd like to, recommend, no, I don't need to recommend anything, forget it, any further discussion besides that? Okay, we will go to a vote, all in favor,
Aye.
Yes.
opposed, abstained,
Abstain.
one abstention, so we have 4 opposed, I'm sorry, 4,
Jesus,
Don't delay
it's
it,
just
man.
long, it's
been a
too
long
late,
night.
it's just
It's
too,
9
it's too
o'clock.
late, too
You wanna
late at
vote
night.
here, so-
We're all done.
4 in favor,
Still got a lot of
four
business.
in favor and 1,
Abstain.
Abstention.
abstention,
There you go.
and, so more to come, because, you know, we also have a directive to, David / Ryan to discuss the future of this as well, but, you know, that's one piece of business that we're able to do tonight, we'll have to put this on a future agenda to discuss it again, so that's, yeah, any sort of parting words, Laura?
Thank you.
Okay.
And I
Thank you.
don't hold any animosity towards anybody in this group, and we're all doing our jobs here. Just
I still love you,
cutting-
Laura.
Cutting that pie in a little piece of scraps.
I got it.
I love you too, Peter. I was gonna say something smart alecky, but I'm on film, so.
That's okay, I say it all the time,
You
whatever.
do? I hadn't noticed, potty mouth.
Yeah, whatever.
Alright, well, we're gonna move on, we have a few other important things we've gotta get to tonight, that have to do with,
what's that?
some projects that are forthcoming, the next would be, thank you.
Thank you.
Question to someone?
Thanks.
Julie, what are you here for tonight?
To support Kelly.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you might be here because you had to
No, I
Deal
just
with
was here for Kelly.
some of the
Yeah.
opera
Why
things.
wouldn't
No,
someone be here
I-
just because they want
And
to
I
be
know
here?
what time you have to get
Right.
up in the morning,
No,
so I
no,
mean.
no, I have to be at the hospital tomorrow, so I get to sleep.
You-
Thanks, Ward.
Alright, thank
Thanks,
you.
thanks,
Good
thanks.
night.
Alright.
Bye.
What's this?
Night.
From David.
Thanks for all you do.
Dan.
Oh,
Pass it
Yeah,
on
yeah.
down.
So the next item is gonna be, the, old business, this is the Route 68 project order of taking, and notice of taking and preparing for next steps, so, wait, didn't we do this before?
You did it, and we had quoted the wrong map, which did not make it happen.
So we had a very, very slight clerical error on the map number that was on the previous order of taking for the Route 68 project. And I think what we did last time, did we vote
Yes, we did, because
to,
I read the motion.
to allow me to sign it, is that what it was?
Yep, and everybody here gets to sign it too.
Okay,
Oh,
oh,
we
so
all
all
get
of
to
us to
sign.
sign it, alright,
Lucky
so,
us.
so what do you want the motion for then, to approve
Just
the
so that,
revised?
just the reference of the correct map, if you could, read the motion.
Oh, sounds good, I move that the select board by virtue of and in accordance with the authority.
Excuse me, you can't move, you're the chairman.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Sorry about that.
I was doing you a favor, man, it's a lot of
I
words.
know, but then it's, okay.
We're all screwed
I'll make a motion that, we move the select board by virtue of and in accordance with the authority of the vote taken under Article 4 of the October 19th, 2021 special town meeting, provisions of Chapter 79 and Chapter 82, Sections 21 through 24 of the general laws, and any and every other power and authority hereunto enabling it in any way vote, 1, to take for all purposes for which public ways are used, including without limitation for the purpose of undertaking the Main Street and Gardner Road Route 68 improvement project. Those easements shown on plans entitled Easement Plan of Land in Hubbardston, Mass. Dated April 8th, 2022, prepared by Hancock Associates, as said plans may be amended. 2, to approve an order of taking to acquire said easements as finally approved by town council, and further 3, to authorize the chair of the select board to carry out the purpose of this vote, including the order of taking.
I will second that.
Seconded, any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, that would be unanimous, and we will sign. Okay, next item, while we sign, will be, that would be old business C, TA transition, the upcoming plan and what, acting town administrator Nixon's role will be. David, we spoke about this during our call on Friday a little bit, you wanna just let everybody know what you graciously sort of agreed to do in your discussions with Ryan?
Ryan has asked me to stay on for another 2 weeks in order to make sure the transition is as smooth as possible
As a,
as a consultant. So I would not have any authority at that point. Ryan would be the town administrator. You only need one town administrator.
Would you be a paid consultant or a volunteer consultant?
Well, you get both. So paid consultant for the first 2 weeks, and then we'll figure out if we need to extend that for another 2 weeks or not. The moderator has asked me to appear at the annual town meeting, which I'll be happy to do for free.
Yeah, thank you.
okay, well, any other update you need to give us on the TA transition, or are all other things that we've been previously apprised, the same?
I think everything else is the same.
Okay.
Ryan should be back in the saddle on May 2nd.
Okay, alright, okay, well, it sounds good, thanks again. Alright. Alright, next item, is the,
We kinda did E already, didn't we?
E, building inspector progress report, do we need to go anything further on that, or
No,
did you?
we've spoken as much as we need to on that one.
I have, sorry, just one more question, David. So, I know we had just talked about, one of the towns leaving potentially from their agreement they had with Barry. At the last meeting, I think you also had talked about Barry taking us on. Wasn't that one of the conversations, or am I misremembering?
Yeah, so that's gonna take a little bit of diplomacy with Barry, but I feel the need to talk to Barry, and I've left messages with Barry.
Okay. Cool beans.
Has
Thank you.
Has anything been followed up on the
But can I
this
just
stuff? Oh, I'm sorry, do you still have
comment on
something on
that?
that? Yeah, go ahead.
wasn't the catalyst for this whole thing the fact that people in a contract with Barry were unhappy with the service they were getting from the building inspector?
That's what I've been told.
So why would we pursue something with Barry that people are telling us?
I'm saying we should talk to Barry and find out what they know and see what, if there's gonna be, if they intend to change personnel, maybe it makes sense for
Right, I
us to
think
be
that
there.
would be my response too, is that, you know, they're a neighboring town, we talk to them, maybe things change, maybe we're the lead on the next round, who knows, you know, at least have the conversation.
Yeah.
Good point though. Okay, alright, so that's the building inspector,
well,
anything further?
One more. Did we, go ahead, Katie, you're
Okay,
gonna ask the
Katie.
That's
same
okay.
question.
Yeah, did we follow up at all with the outstandings with
Maynard?
the gentleman from Maynard?
Yes, so he's not able to help us out.
Okay, so we're still dead in the water with all that.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, okay.
That was, Katie read
Same
my
question,
mind.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, next item is the cell tower update, stated on here is the final approval received and the project to start soon, so, you know, hallelujah.
Yes.
It may.
So Michael Moriarty, who's the regional dispatch director, indicated that, exactly that, it's supposed to start soon, right? They have all their permits in place, we don't have any specific schedule yet, but soon was what we heard.
Right, so talking to the engineering company for this project and talking to the contractor for the project, they wanna get this thing done.
Yeah.
They wanna get paid. The engineers have affirmed that they've got all the licenses and permits in place.
Yeah.
And the contractor is gonna put together a construction schedule this week. I was hoping to have that for tonight's meeting.
What do we do if somebody illegally climbs up there and puts a Go Green banner up top front?
It wouldn't be me.
Advertising.
Well, you stick a no
Who would even
trespassing
suggest
sign
that?
on the
Okay, no
fence.
trespassing, no trespassing,
Then
okay,
it's-
that'll,
the
that'll
liability's
keep
all
her out,
on them.
yeah,
Yeah,
no problem.
definitely.
The only other thing that's sort of floating around there is the RFP for the 2 rentable spaces on the tower.
Yep.
Rutland wants to put the tower up and operate it and then see what kinds of gadgetry we can plunk on the tower, safely.
I mean, that seems okay, right? I mean, I don't know anything about towers,
Don't we know that already, what the tower's capabilities are? I would presume we would know that.
Well, I sent this RFP off to Rutland quite some time ago, and I wanna say that was 3 months ago at least,
It's crazy.
asking them to do a technical review. I have not heard the results of that technical review, other than that the radio engineer would like to have the tower up and going, and then go out to the, with the RFP.
But the tower was extended so we could put 2 cell things on it. We got
Yeah.
a grant to make it higher, so you could put 2 cell.
Oh, I think it just has to do with the actual, exactly what can go on where. My guess is that, I guess, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
clearly, yes, it's going, it's just, I don't.
I'm happy to admit that I don't put radio towers up on a daily
Yeah.
basis, so I wrote out these technical specifications and shared it with them so that they could double check that with their engineers to make sure that this is going to
I think it's
work.
gonna go up pretty quick. I think the thought is just, we've been waiting for, since the beginning of time, to
Yeah.
get one of these, and we're gonna actually do it, so
All
why
the
not wait a little bit
materials are-
longer to have it up to say, okay, this is what can go where, and this is the way it faces, or whatever else.
Yeah,
But
you
the
know,
materials at the DPW, right?
Yeah, materials with DPW.
All the materials are there.
But
Yeah.
they say a little bit of time. It's gonna be like 4 more years, at the rate we're going.
No,
That's what
no,
I'm
it's
saying.
not. There's a contract, I mean,
Well, to put the tower up, no, but I'm talking about to get the cells on there.
I'm still not sure I heard an answer. Are we sure we can put 2 cell phone, whatever they need up there on this tower? Is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's a certainty?
That's how the thing was designed.
Okay.
Right, okay. All right.
And
I
that,
think-
that comes from the contractor.
Okay.
Okay, as usual, TA report, covered, almost?
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot to talk about.
No, it's not.
Lombard Road has been bid out. We had a project, budget of $575,000, and the low bid was $528.
It was excellent news.
Given,
It was excellent.
given the escalation of costs, we might wanna hang on to that until we have the final,
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting a
Invoice.
written warranty for that?
Yeah. But if that goes well, then that would return $46,238.75, according to the calculator, Dan.
All right.
So-
Don't be mad at me if I don't trust you.
Yeah, I know.
So I just gotta say this, cause I do public bidding all the time, and it's one of those really sort of stressful things when you're, you have a company to do this sort of stuff. So PJ Keating, their bid was $528,761.25. The second bid, Mass Broken Stone, again, that was $528,761. Second bid, $529,058. So it was $250 on a $500-something-thousand bid, which is as absolute close as you can possibly see on. So, couple things. One, you feel bad for the second guy, because that's definitely been me. But two, we got a good number with the first one. When you know you've got two grouped one right there, oftentimes on public bids you can get really low bids, and you're like, oh, what did that person miss, or whatever. But so it's just a good sort of check to get them that close as well. So
So the
Who's the
two
winner?
of them made the same mistake. No.
Thanks for your contribution,
That's
Mike.
That's a bidding joke.
I know. I know.
I've done a lot of bid.
Me too.
Public
Yeah,
bid openings.
I get it. I laughed inside.
Who's the winner, PJ Keaton?
PJ Keating. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's that decision made off of?
What?
Lowest bid.
Totally off the price?
It is. It's a total qualified bid, or that's what they call it. So as long as you've got the qualifications that are in there, you've been in business for X amount of years, you're not disbarred. There's a bunch of requirements in there, so that still has to go through review. But these are both pretty well-known firms. I wouldn't expect it to be a problem.
Just look up chapter 3039M.
Of course.
Why, I've got you right here.
I know.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
So, the Commonwealth Winter Recovery Bill has been passed. We're just waiting for Mass DOT to come up with rules and regulations. We get $280,000 out of that for roads and culverts and guardrails.
That's
and
great.
line.
How do we think that's gonna process through, David? Is that gonna be like, you and Travis, or you, Travis, and Ryan coming up with a plan and coming back to the select board and saying, here's what we think we'd like to do? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I like this song.
Yeah. All right. Carry on.
Alright, I'm gonna skip over a bunch of stuff because it doesn't amount to a whole lot. Okay, our expenses, our revenues rather, are trending higher than expected. We should be at 75%. we're at 77.12%. So revenues are performing strong, and our expenditures are lower than we expected. We should have been at 75% through the month of March, and we're
Just let us
called
know.
71%.
Revenues are higher than projected by 2%, and expenses are 5% lower than projected.
That's good news, David.
Good news. Okay.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah, go right ahead.
David, have we seen any of the funds from the marijuana establishments?
No, we were talking about that with Sandy today, that they have applied, both establishments have applied for a special permit with the planning board. So she and I are gonna compose letters reminding them that they need to pay the community host agreement. And we'll CC the planning board on that, so that they know that the contract has not been
Fulfilled?
acted upon.
Okay.
The other side of the coin with that is that everybody's holding their breath to find out what the general legislation is going to come from the State House having to do with community host agreements. The Senate narrowly passed or they didn't narrowly pass, they passed a bill that fortunately does not include a clawback going back 5 years on community host agreements. So we're nervously watching what the House is going to do with that bill.
When you say clawback, can you just elaborate on that?
So 5 years ago, if we had money coming in from a community host agreement, if according to the terms of the Senate legislation, they could challenge the amount that you've that you've charged in the past, and if you can't answer their challenge, they would claw that money back. They would
Okay.
deduct that from
Does that include solar too? Or
No.
just pot?
just pot.
Okay.
But that won't apply to us because we haven't collected any money.
Yeah, but
So, they could change
the
it.
marijuana industry has very powerful lobbyists, and so, you know, we're all just sort of watching what happens at Beacon Hill.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
we might not see any, the lobbyists work their magic.
We should get some. I don't
Some.
think we're gonna be in a situation where we're not gonna get any.
Okay.
And fortunately, we don't have any expectation that they're gonna, well, they can't claw it back, we haven't received
No,
anything.
we haven't received anything.
Yeah, that would suck.
Great.
Did we budget in the revenues for FY '23, the community host agreements? We did not.
No,
Okay,
that
so it would
would-
be free cash if
that
we
would
came in.
all
That
be
would
gravy.
be rough.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Okay, that it?
That's all I got for now.
Alright, so thank you,
So,
David. Policies to review, we don't have any. Matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I guess I'll just ask, so is this your last meeting, David?
Yes.
I think I'm gonna be around for May 9th.
You gonna come?
I reckon so.
Alright, well, we'll hold off saying goodbye to you till then. So you have to show up now.
Now you're in it.
Now you have to show up, so, okay, well, that's actually all I had for, not anticipated. Anybody else have anything they wanna bring up?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, we're gonna go to Heather first.
Oh, okay, thank you. So as many of you may have heard, I did get the job in Paxton as the town administrator.
Congratulations.
So, yes, so my commute will now be 27 minutes instead of an hour and 30, which is quite exciting. But one of the conversations I had with the board was to make sure that they were good with me maintaining my role as an elected official in town of Hubbardston. So because of that, and they said yes, they have no problem with that. I just have to make sure that I don't have too many conflicts between the two. I did talk to Dan a little bit about the meeting schedule. I'm still trying to get them to figure out what their meeting schedule is gonna be, cause it often is on Monday nights. It's been
Of course
other.
it is.
Yeah, of course. It's been on other Monday nights, but I was wondering if at one of the upcoming meetings, we could perhaps discuss our schedule moving forward and see if there was a way that we could make it work for everyone's schedule, whatever that may be. I don't know any more definitive
Okay.
on what their schedule is gonna be yet. They're supposed to be voting on it and then hopefully tonight
Okay.
or next week. Katie's like, Heather, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, I know. I have like things on air, like I'm so
I know,
overly
I
scheduled.
know.
It's not even funny.
I hear ya. So, but I just wanna bring that up and let you guys
And a
know.
baby.
Yeah. Well, you know.
But to go from, I'm so jealous, cause I have your commute, and not to Wellesley, but to go from Wellesley to Paxton, you're still gonna get angry at people going slow, going to Paxton. I just probably even drive, but still, that's just great news.
It's like one set of lights.
It's great.
Like in Paxton. Like worst case scenario, I could pull over and walk across the street.
Stop rubbing it in, please. Anyway, all right. Well, you know, congratulations.
Thank you. And David has something.
David has something.
So Chief Perone has hired Mr. Andrew Bresciani as a full-time police officer, and I just wanted to make sure that the board sees this.
Okay, are we signing or are we what are we doing? We're just looking?
Exercising your veto if you want.
Alright, where's he
Other
coming
than that,
from?
we don't have to approve it or anything?
No,
Okay.
you can disapprove it.
Where is he from? Where is he from? Full-time officer. Do you know where he's coming from?
No.
No?
Thank you.
He sounded familiar. He wasn't a part-time already?
Experience Fitchburg to
I didn't
present.
recognize the
Fitchburg.
name.
He's coming from Fitchburg.
Just recently, or?
Yep, well, it's his experience, 2021 to present, Fitchburg, Mass.
That's present.
Armed private security. And then he was a state police officer, campus officer, special police officer. Yeah, there you go. Pass it on down. Look for yourself.
No, you just summed it up, I think.
Yeah, it's on the second or third page,
I believe you.
resume.
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Chris? Heather, you all set? Okay with this?
I don't know, I haven't seen it
Yeah,
yet,
have
Jeff.
She gave you the whole
Yeah,
recap
well,
that we
they
need.
get
She
to
did.
look too. They can read, they're allowed to read.
Jeff's turning into a pumpkin. Alright,
We seem to be having longer meetings every time.
so think of all the good business we're getting done.
Yeah. It's that time of year though, the meetings always last long this time of year.
Is it because it's laid out longer, so we feel like you
No,
can't go
it's
home
like
till it's dark?
the town, the warrant
It's because
stuff.
you engage in conversations like this that are
Yes.
unnecessary.
Well, they're looking at paperwork, we can chat,
Oh.
we can chat.
There's only one copy, Dan,
I'm just kidding.
and it was not in the Google Drive.
No, that
I'm
was not,
kidding,
that's
actually.
why I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's this?
All right. Anything else not reasonably anticipated?
Yes,
Someone wanna-
please. I wanna talk about the flagpole up on the common.
So,
It's in need of repair, and I believe that that repair has been approved and contracted to get done. And then I'm hearing that while the repair was being done and the equipment was here to get up to the top of the flagpole where the repair needs to be done, the person fixing it offered to paint the flagpole while they were here,
where are you going with this?
and the equipment was here. Why don't we have them paint the flagpole while they're here and the equipment is here and it needs to be painted?
I don't.
So you and I had a conversation this morning, and I went back to my notes, and I found out that I had expressed a concern about the truck creating ruts in the playing field and the landscape there. So they're gonna lay down plywood in order to preserve the surface of the ground. And I told them, why not just go ahead and paint? So that project should occur with painting,
So good, they're gonna fix the flagpole and paint it.
yes.
Very good.
What else you got?
That's all we got.
Is the tree getting cut, do you know, a little bit more? Cause that's what the flag keeps getting caught on and yanking.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I was wondering if you knew,
Oh, you're a
have no
pole
idea.
guy.
cause you knew that.
I have no idea.
No?
about the
Okay.
tree. I didn't know it was a concern.
Sanda and Chief keep saying
What tree does it get stuck on?
the big maple that if you're
Oh,
looking
okay.
at the church, it's a lower part, so it's only when it's at half staff.
Okay.
It gets tangled on it and then that's
Yeah,
when
I
it
was gonna
breaks.
say, it's much too high to be catching on a tree.
No. They came in and trimmed the tops, but there's that one limb that's low, and that's what it keeps getting snagged on.
Well, if the problem was that we didn't have a place to retire flags, we do now. So. we'll be
But we
able
don't
to-
want the pulley to keep getting ripped off every
No.
time.
That's out of my scope. You'd have to
Okay.
take that up with the tree ward.
I will take that up with somebody
All
else
right.
then.
So we're up to the public press questions. Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing. And
Adjourn, move to adjourn.
Second.
not debatable. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned
Aye,
at
aye, aye, aye.
9:15.